Go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, mother. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Claude from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. It was, too. Just soaked it all up on Sunday. You know, it's funny. I was sitting around yesterday, and I was looking at my phone, checking on some scores, most notably the Reds and the Cardinals and that stinking disaster where I'm not watching another moment until the nerd is done. Not watching another moment because it's a tremendous waste of time. And I was going to send that out yesterday, and I thought, you know what? Why would I send something out? And I know for everybody around here, it was not a beautiful day. I think in Hamilton County, north side of Indy, maybe it was raining. Honestly, down in God's country, down in and around Bargersville at Paradise de Watson, it was sunny the entire time. Sunny, hot, and humid, and a chance of me getting drunk. It was awesome. And never rained, never stormed, nothing. But I was sitting, and you know this, I overanalyze this whole thing. Before I hit send, it's like, all right, I'm going to think about this 9,000 different ways, and that probably wastes a little bit of time too. But I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not going to mess with this. And then later on that night, I'm watching, I don't even know what the hell I was watching last night. Good question. What was I watching last night? Oh, old Seinfeld episodes. That's what I was watching last night on comedy, the Comedy Channel West, whatever. I was watching old Seinfeld episodes, and I was looking back at the day. There are some folks out there. There is zero way their lifestyle, and I know this is an overused term and it's like a millennial term. Some of you view it as a soft term. I say this to my mom all the time too, because she sits around and watches news shows all day, and I go, you know how toxic that is? Watch some other stuff. Watch some Seinfeld. Watch something else. Whatever you like. Watch, she likes Yellowstone or, you know, whatever the Costner flavor of the day out west. He likes all that stuff. But I'm thinking, you know how toxic it has to be to sit around all day on a Sunday at the beginning of June and do nothing but be argumentative on social media. Wow, that is just built a different way. And I'm talking about a lot of incredibly successful people. Or I guess what you would term as incredibly successful people. I just want to say, what are you guys all doing? That's why one of these, I've got to invite everybody over one of these days to experience, because it really is a game changer. You get to lighten up a little bit. I don't know what I'd do without it. I don't know what I'd do without the weekend. Like Saturday night, it is awesome for 6 hours. I get a chance to lighten up, and there's no criticism. Everybody comes together on 40-year-old song requests. It's beautiful. I was just thinking about that yesterday. At some point, you just not want to find something else to do. Take your mind away from it for a moment. You know, it's really the usual suspects. You know what I'm talking about here, but why? Does it really make them that much money when you say, well, they're just looking for clicks? Yeah, they make money out of the clicks? That's I don't know. Maybe I'm missing out on something. Maybe I should be pissy all day long on a Sunday, but I'll be damned, there is no way. None. I even just sidestepped this whole Reds fiasco. My man Robert yesterday sent me and then Kevin and somebody else, hey, it was a clean sweep by the Cardinals. And granted, you know this to be true. I absolutely hate the St. Louis Cardinals. Hate them. However, if you're going to sweep a team, and my reminder was, I would save the victory lap for a real major league team and not that lump of crap that they have in Cincinnati. Now, we were talking to Lance McAllister about that late last week, and this team, Lance put up some stats about where they are right now compared to where they have been in the past 13 seasons. I don't know how they have any fans left. And for anybody out there that has ever suggested that we go overboard in talking about the Colts and being critical about the Colts, you guys have zero clue. No idea. Because this is what it is turned into. There are a lot of relatables between the Colts and the Reds. Man, that's the last thing in the world that you want. A lot of relatables. But I was thinking about that. Yeah, there wasn't a lot going on yesterday, obviously, in sports. IndyCar last night had an exciting race. Unfortunately, it did go deep into the night on a Sunday night, which is incredibly difficult. But I will say this, there was a lot of excitement in it. I'll take the excitement. And Joseph Newgarden was the guy. Somebody mentioned to me on Friday's show, hey, you talked to Chris Kattan and, you're off on this tangent and that tangent. Is it really difficult to cobble together takes on sports when there's just not a lot of local interest going on, obviously other than the fever, and I'll get to that in just a second, but honestly, it isn't. Because we still do live. We're all living here, and there are things that impact us that are interesting to us that we will find, and I will search, as I have in the past, 22 years, search, and we will find something of interest. We've not always been as lucky as we were last year. Not as fortunate, and believe me, you're going to say, well, wait a minute, what's this good fortune? They didn't win a championship, and they ended up in a gap season because of an injury. What's the good fortune? No, the fortune in my position was you had the opportunity to go deep into the month of June on this dialogue. We're still talking about, right now, we're in the teeth of the conversation. Pacers and OKC. About this time last year, I went on a station in Oklahoma City. And they spent about 5 minutes and said, man, this guy is a jackass. Never call him again. And I said, fine, don't. About this time last year, so incredibly fortunate, even through the end result, which was crammed full of misfortune. And then I know you fast forward a year later, you get game number 3 of the NBA Finals later on tonight. The Knicks looking to take a chokehold, if they're not already in a chokehold. I was with Tony Katz this morning, and he asked me to describe the Knicks and the Spurs in a nutshell. And I said, well, this Knicks team is talented. It has a closer. It has a closer that I admire very much in Jalen Brunson. I like him a great deal. The biggest part about this Knicks team this year is twofold. It is they have a head coach that hasn't worn them absolutely out, that uses their bench and has judiciously used their bench the entire season. And they don't, remember last year, everybody was so bump and grinded out. They were all hurt and limping around. And the Pacers are going to play this flow that you're just not ready for it. The biggest part is that Mike Brown, as the coach, not wearing his team out before the start of the postseason, and the simple fact that the Pacers aren't involved. Those are the two biggest reasons why. Otherwise, it's been an absolute cakewalk for them. And I don't know if I fully expected it, but through the first 2 games down in San Antonio, it looks like that they're facing a team that is really good and is going to be much better in the future, but is not ready for prime time. And in these situations, you start kind of wondering about the head coach too. And I'm right there with you. Those are kind of wondering about the head coach. And yeah, that's when you could have some of the same results of getting to this point as a head coach, but Greg Popovich was different. And maybe there's a reason therein lies a difference right there. We'll see. We'll see if San Antonio can get back on it later on tonight, but it just looks like a team that is incredibly talented and then push the defending champions out the door in the Western Conference Finals, but does not look like it is ready right now. And with Victor Wembanyama, we'll have the entirety of the long-term future, although I will say this. Is there no greater saying now than you take advantage of the time when you're here because you're not promised a damn thing the next year or the years to come? And I think everybody around here knows that to be absolutely true. Everybody thought that Luck team and the Colts, they were on the verge and they got one more step to take and go into the Super Bowl. And, yeah, you know, when you're there and take advantage of it. So about 6.5 hours away from game number 3 at Madison Square Garden. James, I'll have to have you look up the ticket prices right now because those are absolutely – I will say this, ticket prices everywhere are ridiculous. Everybody's complaining about the World Cup ticket prices. And, yeah, one of these days that's going to be difficult for everybody, if not already difficult. See, I think, unfortunately, we're going into a world now where it is also going to be a little bit more difficult to be able to watch your games. Did you guys see Miami got a local station worked out for the Heat games this year? I am kind of curious of the path the Pacers are going to be able to take since there is no Fox, I should say, FanDuel Sports anymore. But instead of FanDuel Sports, this is off of my memory. I believe this to be accurate. I believe WPLG in Miami will be doing the Heat games during the regular season. And that is something that they're going to have to figure out around here. I don't know if there is a solution for it, or somebody would have to tell me if they're on the verge of a solution. It seems like at some point there should be a solution. Now, they'll probably wait until September, and we got plenty of time. But I'd like to know, and, you know, I'm not a big fan of jacking around, so let's not jack around. But that is going to be something that is going to be drastically different in how you end up being able to just at home watch your favorite teams consistently. Because it is all over the map, and it is seemingly always open to the highest bidder. James, ticket prices, MSG tonight. What do you got, Game 3?
The lowest price I am seeing on this map right now is $4,922. And that's for high up in the rafters, nosebleed seats. The most expensive ticket I am seeing on this map is $47,000. And that looks to be courtside, but
it's not a clincher either, although I guess the president of the United States is going to be there. It may be the biggest hassle of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
To get in.
You can't bring a bag in. I don't think you can hang out outside.
If you're not there right now, will you get in? Do you have to be there right now to make sure that you get, because I mentioned 6.5 hours away. Will you have to be there right now to make sure you get in? I don't know how that works.
What I saw was, I believe the team was recommending fans get there about 2 hours before tip-off. I would probably get there even earlier because I think it's going to be an absolute mess trying to get in there.
It seems like that there's going to be a mess. Big time mess. $47,000. Now, where is that $47,000?
That is, it's not even the VIP courtside seat. It is row 1 of the mid-court seats. But you're not on the court. It looks like you're maybe one row back into the crowd.
$47,000.
$47,483 to be exact.
Let's just say.
I see an even more expensive ticket.
Oh, let's hear it.
And this one is $53,761. But that is behind the home team bench.
So if somebody were to just say, "Hey, James, here's $53,000. You've got to use it." How would we do this? Give me something you absolutely don't want to do, you have to use it on, and compare it to this. Like, where would this rank to if somebody gave you $53,000, you would obviously go to this, right? You would attend it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But that seems ridiculous.
in terms
well,
of,
I guess where would that rank in terms of being
things
turned off about doing something? $53,000. That's ridiculous.
Probably a Taylor Swift concert. I probably wouldn't be too thrilled about. I mean, I'd go if someone paid me $53,000 to go see Taylor Swift, but I would rather be doing other things as well.
It's almost like we're getting to the verge where somebody, like, you're going to have to go see somebody in concert that's reincarnated or something.
Yeah.
I get it. $53,000 at MSG, and I'm assuming a lot of presidential security. The Brendan Sorsby situation, it just, the rules, just abandon the rules, and you find a judge, and it is absolutely incredible. So if you don't know the background here, Texas Tech star Brendan Sorsby, who you know as well as a former quarterback in Bloomington for IU, has been granted a temporary injunction against the NCAA that could clear the way for him to play for the Red Raiders in 2026, even after the transfer quarterback was declared ineligible for wagering on college sports. We live in an absolute nut house in our sports nowadays, don't we? A Texas judge granted Sorsby a preliminary injunction Monday that prevents the NCAA from punishing him for violating its rules on sports gambling. Judge Ken Curry ruled that Sorsby's attorneys demonstrated he will suffer a probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if he's unable to play for the Red Raiders in 2026 and enjoined the NCAA from prohibiting Sorsby from practicing or playing this fall. Wait, is that The Onion? No, this is like ESPN. That reads like something from The Onion. Did I just read that accurately? Is that what was said? Probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if he's not eligible to play. Good Lord Almighty. That has got to be The Onion. That's just got to be like one of those old school. Remember the old school films you'll see where the old judge, the good old boy judge, yeah, you know what? Irreparable harm done. Yes, got to be that. That is crazy. I don't know what that seems crazy, but it's not given the landscape in which we're in. A linebacker trying to eat his girlfriend's phone, that may be the strangest thing we've heard all this weekend. We got a little bit later on, we may have to roll with the whole the jackassery thing that you got built in over there too. I don't know where to go with Judge Ken Curry and Brendan Sorsby, or Jonathan Cooper trying to reportedly eat his girlfriend's phone. Yeah. Eat the phone. Eating the phone.
Like, did he just try and...
He's trying to bite it in half or something, I think.
Did he try to eat it like a snake does?
It said eating. Here was, and I don't know, maybe the whole eating of the phone is a little bit embellished. Hopefully all this is embellished.
What I am seeing is it says he bit and broke her phone after she refused to leave. Yeah.
I would. That's eating it, right? Is that eating it?
I don't know if he swallowed
any
of it. If you
bite it and break it, is that eating it?
I think eating depends on, did he try to swallow any of it? If he just bit it, he just bit the phone.
And I know you probably shouldn't make light of this because, again, it is a domestic violence situation. But the biting and the eating, I saw eating earlier. Biting, I guess we have to go with biting. Yeah. Biting, I still haven't seen biting the phone's a new one on me too. And that also is not an onion. Not an onion at all. JMV, I really wanted OKC to beat the Spurs so they could blast the Knicks in 4 or 5 games. That would have given me more bragging rights than my friends that are Knicks fans. You know, it's weird, like Alan, I am not a Knicks fan, and I like even less how much time is always going to be dedicated to, you know, the national sports group, ESPN, that obviously is the moniker with us too, but how much time is going to be spent talking about them. But I am a fan of Jalen Brunson, and I do like Josh Hart. and obviously OG and I don't dislike them incredibly as I should. It's not like Allen. It's not like we're talking about Anthony Mason or Charles Oakley or Charles Smith or Ewing or I hated Derek Harper. Hated. Or Starks. You know what I mean? Does that make it a little bit weird, a little bit odd, a little bit different? 6.5 hours, was that wrong until tip that I said earlier? It said right there, I just read it off the screen on ESPN. Somebody said it was my Greene County math. How many hours until the tip tonight at 8:30?
Well, it's an 8:30 tip.
Yeah.
We're about at 3:30.
Yeah.
So about 5 hours.
5 hours.
Yeah.
So it said 6.5 hours a little bit earlier. Maybe that was taped here, I guess.
That may have been a pre-recorded
Well, you
thing.
son of a guns. I'm tape delayed an hour, Rex. Give me a break. Now, this Knicks team's a little bit different for me because I do like Brunson, and I like Hart, and I like Anunoby. Who else do I like there? Mikal Bridges isn't bad. I'm okay with that. It was weird. Mikal Bridges was a guy that you felt really all season long was incredibly overpaid and should be the odd man out. And as it ended up, not so much. No, I kind of like him. Those guys I do. But it's not the same. Like the Knicks that cultivated our dislike and or hatred around here was because of the direct matchups with the blue and gold, but also because it was legit. You didn't like Pat Riley. You didn't like Anthony Mason or Charles Oakley or Patrick Ewing or John Starks. You probably didn't like Allen Houston. You didn't like Larry Johnson. You didn't like Jess Kersey. I didn't like Derek Harper at all. One of my least favorite all-time players who was really good, by the way, is Derek Harper. He just always acted like an ass. And it was weird. It wasn't like that. At Illinois, it didn't kind of feel like that, did it? But when he got in the NBA or with Dallas, it didn't. When he got to New York, all of a sudden he was like transformed into this ass. It's almost like prerequisite. Like you walk in the door and they go, okay, well, hold on a second. Check. You're a good basketball player. Check. Now you've got to be a complete a-hole. Okay. And transformed. 8:30 later on tonight is that tip time. If you missed it this weekend, and I know a lot of you, again, I mentioned we got to get Rob Ray back on the show later on this week. But the Stanley Cup final, game number 3, was absolutely incredible on Saturday night. It was stinking-credible. So, thumbnail sketch, if you missed it, Golden Knights go up 4-0 at home. They're on cruise control. And the Canes, that's the Carolina Hurricanes, storm back, tie it up. They end up going into double overtime. And it was the Golden Knights with the game winner in double overtime. That could have been one of the, and still maybe even with the win, but had they lost, one of the biggest collapses that anybody has ever seen. You talk about some stinking drama. That had some stinking drama. The game number 4 is coming up tomorrow night, 8 o'clock in Las Vegas. That is the Vegas Golden Knights up 2-1, best of 7 against the Carolina Hurricanes. And I will get into on the other side of Pat Boylan's going to join us a little bit later on. Fever on the road in Washington against the Mystics later on tonight. And a disappointing ending. And I hear what you're saying. The WNBA officials are awful. The officiating Saturday night was awful. But again, I have to allow you to make that point and let me counter. What do you expect? Because oftentimes the NBA officials are lousy. So it would stand to reason that these officials will be lousy. Why wouldn't they be lousy? And my thought of this is, as much as we can make fun of it, and we should, and it is stupid, at the end of it, If you are worthy, you do what? You play through it. And even when they shoot 500 free throws to you're like a handful on set, what in the hell is going on? Fever try to get back above 500 later on tonight in Washington. We shall explain. That's why we got to go a little bit earlier. Or I should say longer tonight, correct? A little bit later on the show, later on. Sammy Hagar tickets, did I see that we have on tap today? Hagar and Springfield, which, by the way, friends, will be a fantastic show. Got those concert tickets to give away. Ruoff coming up. We'll do that here before 6 o'clock. All right, got a treat for you a little bit later on. Stephen Holder, Pat Boylan, as I mentioned. But a little insider conversation in terms of the U.S. men's national team history and the upcoming World Cup. I don't know how much you know about it, but we're going to let you get educated on it. Jay Demerit was a part of it in 2010 in South Africa. He was actually on that team. They had a tie against England. They advanced from their group stage and then lost in the knockout round that year to Ghana. Jay Demerit's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour for his thoughts on it moving forward. Team USA, I'm sure Mexico and Canada. Full thoughts from a guy that's actually been there and done that. That is going to be awesome. Jay Demerit coming up at the top of the hour. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Do not go anywhere. There is more to come. You can call in. You can text at 317-239-1070 as well. Get your thoughts on board on this busy Monday. Don't go anywhere. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We got a quick weather update for you right now from Fox 59. All right, your weight loss journey begins right now with my friends at Premier Weight Loss and GLP-1 weight loss injections with 2 Indy area locations on the north side. That's North Meridian at 317-643-4444 and in Fishers, 317-567-9100. Give them a call. Ask for Lauren. Ask for Samantha. Ask for Thomas. Tell them I sent you to get started on your very own weight loss path. No matter what you're looking to do, and especially doing the things you're used to that now have been compromised, feeling better, and being more healthy at the top of that list. The best part about this process is you are along the way, you're going to get checked up on to reach your goals monthly. Samantha and Lauren and the folks up there make sure you stay on your path. You're goal-oriented. You're going to love what you are when this process happens too. It's going to make you feel so much better. So if you've been thinking about doing it and you haven't, I'm going to remind you, in the month of June, it's a great time to do it. You can do that right now. Also get some of the cosmetic treatments that they offer, including skin tightening, Botox, and electronic toning, all in one place. Actually, 2 in this case, 2 Indy area locations of Premier Weight Loss. Get started on your weight loss journey today. That's PWLND.com.
The Ride with JMV.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Howden trying to walk out in front. That got stopped by Slavin. Theodore drive off the back wall, knocked in. Vegas wins in double overtime.
That was incredible on Saturday. Indeed crazy. Golden Knights up 2-1, best of 7, Stanley Cup final. That was incredible drama. I'm not trying to sit here to sell you, hey, sell me on hockey, and I don't like it. The same thing you feel about soccer in a lot of ways. I'm not trying to do that at all. I am just directing you to compelling sports. When you're whining about compelling sports or lack thereof right now, that is where you're going to find it. And you sure as hell found it on Saturday. Hopefully you find it in the World Cup in the U.S. Beginning on Friday, Ralston's Draft House. What did I say, Ralston's? My bad. Ralston's Draft House. It was almost like a mixture of Ralston's and Draft House. Ralston's Draft House on Friday with, I believe, Michelob Ultra. Jay Demerit's going to join us. He was with the U.S. men's national team back in 2010 in South Africa. A knockout stage. He actually advanced from the group. I believe they had a draw with England in that particular year. That was a Landon Donovan, a Clint Dempsey, Tim Howard. And Jay's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. But no, seriously, getting back to the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I realize I'm not trying to sell you on it. Either you like it or you don't. I'm not trying to tell you to watch it all the time. But if you're looking for compelling action, that has it. And there was really nothing like it on Saturday. Game 4's coming up tomorrow night in Las Vegas with the Golden Knights up 2-1 in that best of 7. Pretty awesome. JMV, I'm pretty sure that they said courtside was going north of $100,000. James just gave us not even courtside for like $53K. JMV, I thought the World Cup in 06 was in South Africa. It says right here, 2010. June the 11th through July the 11th in South Africa. The eventual champions back then, Spain. Runner-ups, the Netherlands. And Germany and Uruguay. 3rd and 4th. So do I go Paraguay or Paraguay? Correct pronunciation for the U.S. men's national team and where they start coming up on Friday night. How do you say Paraguay? Paraguay or Paraguay?
I always say Paraguay.
If I say Paraguay, am I just trying to sound more intelligent, which is impossible, by the way? You say para, I say para.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Para. JMV, if you recall, at the college football IU National Championship game, fans had to be at the stadium between 4 and 4:30. You know what? I forgot about that. Thank you, J-Law. There were a lot of things that I remembered about that trip down to South Florida back in January, but I forgot that the president was at that event too. And you had to be there between 4 and 4:30. I didn't get there, and it was awesome. Shout out to Kyle Kinnett, who got me like in a black SUV over there in literally 35 minutes. It was incredible. My man, the driver, knew exactly what he was doing. And it was incredible stuff. But yeah, you're right. He was there for that too. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Lance McAllister sent this out about 5 or so hours ago in terms of the Reds. And they suck. The Reds have not finished better than third place in the NL Central for 13 consecutive seasons. 13. Does that sound familiar? And third place doesn't apply, but not winning it does. Third, fourth, third, fourth, third, third, fourth, fifth, 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 fourth, third. Over that time span. They have finished better than third place just 3 times over the last 26 seasons. They are the underbelly of base. Seriously. They're right there with the Marlins, or what you think of the Marlins, right there with the Rockies, or what you might think of the Rockies. If it is a legitimate long-term loser, that's them. They were a first-place finisher, James, back in 2012, and then I believe got out to a 2-0 best-of-5 advantage against the Giants in the playoffs, and then lost 3 straight at home. Losers. We're a bunch of losers. JMV, the judge who ruled on Sorsby is in Lubbock, Texas, and where is Texas Tech? Lubbock, Texas. Well, I think that there's going to cause some irreparable damage if he doesn't allowed to play. Son's got to play. Wait a minute. Well, he did do some serious things wrong here. I mean, there may be reason for punishment. Good Lord, where the hell are we? Now, would Texas Tech still be on the hook to pay his NIL anyway? I'm assuming so, right? So you're just going to get your money's worth, or try to get your money's worth. That is an incredibly ridiculous story. I tell you what, son, like Foghorn Leghorns talking. Imminent and irreparable damage could be done. JMV, it's all hatred due to the Knicks being the Knicks and their jackassery fan base. Doesn't matter the player. Once the blue and orange is on, they're trash. The only thing that fuels this Pacer team is the tears of Knicks fans. The only shot this year with their daddy Halliburton out. That's part of the equation. The Eastern Conference was a cakewalk, and not getting OKC and getting San Antonio was a much better situation, because the Spurs, while talented and in the future going to end up being a champion, I think much like SNL in New York City, they're not ready for prime time. Remember SNL and not ready for prime time players? That's San Antonio, and you've seen that in the first 2 games. And unless that drastically changes, and I mean from coach to players, when you secure your best player, what is supposed to be the definitive rebound, the evening in game 2 of the best-of-7 series rebound, and you throw it the outlet pass and hit your guy in the back with it, give up 2 free throws for the lead, or 1 free throw, I should say, in this case for the lead, yeah. They just don't seem like, and I will say this, Karl Anthony Towns has befuddled Wembanyama. And he had special game 2 ownership for real. Now, can it change? Absolutely. Do I expect it to change? No, I don't. 0 way. JMV, Spike Lee said he would take $1 million for his seat. $1 million. Hey, Fever and Washington coming up later on tonight as well. That game starts right here. What time is what's his name here, right? Tidrow. Tidrow's in the house here at 6:30, correct?
6:30.
All right. Tip time is at 7 o'clock. I believe you can see that on Channel 13. Is Pat Boylan doing that game on 13 as well? Yeah, that's what I thought. Fever 5-5. Disappointing stretch run for them in New York, to say the least. And, the difference in free throw shooting was eye-popping and ridiculous, just like the officiating. But, I mean, look where you are. What would you expect? Are they going to say, yeah, you know what? The NBA is sketchy at best too, but yeah, we're going to put the best the best in the world in the WNBA. Here's what happens. You're going to be saying, all right, well, this person, yeah, they have blood pumping through their veins, their heart's beating, send them out there. And that's what it looks like. Jay DeMerit, the U.S. men's national team in 2010, went to the World Cup in South Africa and went to the knockout stage. He's got a good breakdown of the U.S. men's national team and what they're going to embark upon coming up on Friday in L.A. Paraguay, 9 o'clock on Friday night. We'll talk Canada and Mexico a little bit there, too. Jay's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. We mentioned Pat Boylan's going to be here as well. We've got Stephen Holder coming up. We've got mandatory OTAs on the inbound coming up tomorrow. Stephen Holder is going to join us to talk about that. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, and sit tight. Hagar and Springfield tickets. That is going to be a rockin' show. Got tickets for you coming up a little bit later on. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for WeGrowHairIndy.com. My friend Darren Andrews, he is waiting for your call to get started on, well, the regrowth of your hair, and I mean right here and right now. Who's thought about it? Who's wanted to do it? Who didn't really know of the options until I firmly, for years, have explained how it works? Now you're interested. Let's get going. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com. Call Darren right now, 317-522-2995, and get started today. Real growing hair, the technology continues to evolve. I tell you, it involves a variety of things. As an end result, they're called boosters. After you do the process, you get boosters every couple of months or so, and that continues the real hair growth. It's amazing. You're going to find it today, the option of your real growing hair, by calling 317-522-2995. Darren Andrews hanging out for you right now with WeGrowHairIndy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Everybody freeze. Everybody down on the ground.
Well, which is it, young feller? You want I should freeze or get down on the ground? If I freeze, I can't rightly drop. And if I drop, I'm going to be in motion. You see?
Shut up!
Okay, then.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
IndyCar last night. East St. Louis. Joseph Newgarden. Actually exciting. It really was. A little late for everybody, but exciting nonetheless last night. Jay DeMerit, top of the hour. Jay DeMerit. Watford captain back in the day. That was the Premier League. But most notably, the reason why we're going to bring him on, we're going to talk about, I know a lot of you, I don't know if you're actively looking to be educated. I probably should a hell of a lot more. But this year's FIFA World Cup kicking off this week throughout the country, most notably for the U.S. men's national team against Paraguay. Paraguay. Coming up on Friday in L.A. 9 o'clock, I believe, for that. But his thoughts on the makeup of this particular roster from a guy that was a part of this roster back in 2010. Very excited for that. And I mentioned, too, he became the Vancouver, the first MLS signing and captain. He's had a lot of significant time playing high-level soccer, for sure. I think that's what it is, yeah. Is that from 2010 of the World Cup? Yeah. Because I think he was a part of that, too. We'll play it when we go on to him. We'll do that, yeah. Well done, James. Good find right there. JMV, I think Wembanyama should buy his ticket. Yeah, that has been a struggle. Karl Anthony Towns has been fantastic for him. Or against him in this case. All the way around. Celebrity Row property worth $1 million. That was the point we were trying to make a little bit earlier. The Knicks announced that was the winning bid in an auction for 2 seats for Game 3 tonight. The first in Madison Square Garden in the NBA Finals since 1999. The winning bid was split, James, by the law firm of Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher, LLP, and a private equity firm, Veritas Capital. The fundraiser benefited the Garden of Dreams Foundation, and the Knicks said it was the largest single donation in the history of the foundation, which works with MSG companies to assist children at need in the tri-state area.
And how much was that bid again?
$1 million.
Wow.
$1 million right there. The seats are located in the VIP section, most notably in and around the Chalamet Tracy Morgan era. By the way, too, the cheapest upper deck seats available, as James went over a little bit earlier, that was in the neighborhood of how much again?
It was around $4,000 to $5,000.
Those are upper deck, Madison Square Garden, which we shall see. 8:30 later on tonight, by the way, for that. Fever and the Mystics tonight, 6:30. Your coverage begins right here. On the other side, Jay DeMerit's going to join us. He was a part of the U.S. men's national team back in 2010 in the FIFA World Cup. We'll talk to Jay about this team as it embarks in its home country later on this week, Friday, Paraguay, in L.A. Jay joins us, top of the hour. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Andy Moore Buick, GMC 131st State Road 37. That is in Fishers. If you're looking for a new vehicle, I've got your helper right here. It's Eric Wilson to the rescue with the Buick Enclave in a variety of styles that you will absolutely love. I promise you that, too. It is an awesome vehicle, and especially if you and the family are going out on a summertime road trip or a vacation. Everybody nice and comfortable with the technology to get you there and back. And again, pure comfort. That is the Buick Enclave, and my friend Eric Wilson will help you today. That's Andy Moore, Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Hour number 2, Sammy Hagar and Rick Springfield tickets will give away. That's coming up quickly. Pat Boylan's got the Mystics in the Fever later on tonight. Pat's going to join us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Mandatory minicamp for the Colts, and Stephen Holder is going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour for a discussion regarding that. So be set and ready. Jay Demerit, hopefully in a couple of minutes. I think we're having difficulties. He may be staked out in Canada right here. I'm not quite sure. But I keep texting him, and he gives me thumbs up, and James keeps calling him, and he's not answering. I said, it's a weird-ass number, too. So I don't know.
You want to see if he wants to call us?
We could give that a try, I guess, right here. You send me that number over there, then I'll send it back. All of this crap in which we should have had figured out already, but you're only as good as when somebody answers the phone. So that's the way that it is. Thank you. I'll have him see if he can call this right here. And this is going to be the first time we've ever had a conversation. But I'm very excited, especially somebody who has been around it before, who's been a part of it. And Jay still actively does a great deal. I believe he retired because of an injury back in 2014. But he has actively been a part of it for, ongoing. But pretty cool. We will await the call or James when he gets a hold of him coming up in just a minute. Talk a little bit about the upcoming start of the World Cup. I should mention, too, Ralston's Draft House for us. That is coming up on Friday with Michelob Ultra. We have been there before. It is always an awesome place to go. Ralston's Draft House on Friday for the show. Now, I'm also out on Thursday, and I want to say this is the first time in which we have ever been to this place. Fox Garden in Fortville. Has anybody been there? I'm sure I have been there before, just not doing the show. Me and Brent Halverson and Tony Renz. All coming up on Thursday. So we're kind of back. The band is back together again coming up on Thursday. So we'll talk bourbon and I'm sure standard bred horse racing. Tony Renz is involved in that, and obviously Brent Halverson is involved with bourbon. And we have not been out with Brent, our betting analyst, in a number of months now. Actually going all the way back, I think, to January. So the first time in 4 or 5 months since that has taken place. But back together again coming up on Thursday. So 2 road shows this week. Fox Garden, Fortville on Thursday, and then Friday, Ralston's Draft House in front of that first World Cup matchup with Paraguay. In L.A. at 9 o'clock, a Ralston's Draft House on Friday with Michelob Ultra. So we will be ready for that and then some coming up a little bit later on this week. And it is really, past couple of weeks, it was a lot moving up to the 500 and then out doing stuff on Georgetown Road, doing stuff obviously on race day. But it's been a while, last couple of weeks since we've been out. It's going to be good to be back out once again. Very excited about that. Thursday and Friday. With the show. Could not be more excited. And then I should mention this, too. We've got a couple of other things coming up as well before we get to July the 4th. This is all a really weird time because there's normally, last year, if you remember, there was not a lot of time to take a breath because of the Pacers and OKC in the finals. But you have a little bit more time to do some things now because, simply put, outside of the fever around here, there's really not a lot that you're paying attention to going on. And this most certainly is the time to take advantage of that. That's exactly what we're doing. So I'll tell you what, James, you stay after it. If you get him, you get him. If you don't, you don't. And we'll keep trying. Like I said, I think he is in Canada, and I'm assuming they have phones there and technology and stuff like that in Canada. If they don't, because he's for sure, I'm going to tell you, if I could get him on my phone, he keeps texting me right now and saying he's ready to go. But who knows? So you let me know whenever you guys get together. And if not, that'll be okay. I mentioned Pat Boylan's going to join us a little bit later on. Stephen Holder also coming up a little bit later on in the show. Going back, we didn't speak too much about the Fever because going back to last week, very critical of the Fever, the way they were playing, the expectations not being met. And to me, it was more about the way that they were playing than any of these other things that are being talked about out there. But certainly being 5-5 at this point of the season is disappointing. It's funny. When I was talking to Tony Cass this morning, I'd mentioned regarding the Fever, they did what was necessary against Atlanta last week. I mean, you come back and you win by double figures, and you look good from start to finish doing it. But unfortunately, they kind of reverted back to the team that they have been this season. Now, granted, before you say, hey, you're just completely disregarding the officiating on Saturday night. I'm not disregarding the officiating on Saturday night. I realize how bad it is. It is bad. You could legitimately make fun of it all day long. It is that bad. But the point I try to make constantly is you got to play through it. I don't know what else to tell you. 40-15 is a big number. 40-15 is a ridiculous number. In fact, Breanna Stewart went to the free throw line 21 times. 21 times. I mean, come on. But again, it's not about that. It's more about who they are and who they need to be. And I'm sorry, there's just a lot of crap that you have to play through. And you have to play through it when you're a team that is riding with major expectations. There's no way around it. You got to play through it. Either you play through it or you don't. And if you don't, you're even on the season. But also down the stretch on Saturday, if you watched any of that game, it was a lack of execution. That was problematic. Big time problematic. But the officiating is not easily ever just going to fade away. You're going to have to deal with it. And you can't make an excuse of it. You have to play through it. And do I believe this team to be talented enough to play through it? I do right now. You know, maybe they end up proving that maybe we over-evaluated the talent level. But to me, looking at this group right now, it is just more about having to play through it. And that comes with being the highest touted team of the WNBA. When you are the team, when you have the elite player, the most hyped player, the most talked about player, this is exactly the circumstances you're going to get. And you're going to get it. You're not going to get a week off. It's not going to come around every couple of weeks. You're going to get it every single night. Thus, you have to be up for it every single night. And therein lies the issue. The consistency of this group has not been there. And you saw that execution-wise in the fourth quarter against the Liberty on Saturday. And that, to me, is just well beyond the officiating or the joke that is. Because, believe me, it is awful. And I hate to say it, I absolutely, fully expect it. 100% expect it. Quick shout out to our good friend in Southern California, Jim McCann, who is going to be in town coming up this week and is going to slide by Fox Garden. If you guys know, Jim McCann in Southern California calls this show all the time, is a big part of this show and other shows, and also is a tremendous part of the All Request Saturday Night with me. And he's going to be in town from Southern California and at Fox Garden on Thursday. That is awesome. Liz tells me that Fox Garden is great. The food is awesome. I've been there one time, and that was probably 4 months into my whole weight loss situation. I had a Michelob Ultra and cottage cheese, and that was it. But everybody around me said that the food was fantastic. So I was going on everybody around me. Hey, by the way, James, this one is completely on me. That's not on you. This is on me. I don't know what's going on here. But now maybe it may be something with the phones because I don't know if we've
it's ringing.
Tried
we've done
the international. We've done international calls.
We've talked to like JJ Jeremiah Johnson when they've been up in Toronto for games against the Raptors.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's giving me thumbs up. Now he needs to give me a thumbs down because the blank's not working. It's not working.
I even sent him a message.
Let me here's how I can do this as well. This is the beauty of doing a show in just an awesome market, in a local market like this. Our good friend Mark Sonneban of the Mark and Sarah Sonnebans is the one that helped set this up. So if Mark Sonneban, who is a smiley bro, is out there right now, Mark, get your dude to call, by God. Time's a-wasting. I've got to be educated. Got to be educated. I don't know what I'm talking about with this World Cup stuff. I've struggled all day long to pronounce Paraguay, for God's sake. So let's go. Sonneban, where are you? I know Smiley's listening out there because this guy doesn't know jack squat about sports. This is where he gets all his knowledge right here. Beautiful. That is pretty funny. JMV, the Sorsby thing is kind of the nature of where we are right now. You just complain about it and you do something wrong. You never own it. You complain about it and you move on and you end up entitled and getting what you want anyway. There's a lot to be said about the entitlement here. Remember when we all got punished, right? Growing up, we all got punished. There was not one single time when we had things called in-service days in October, when we had a couple of days off right before Halloween. They were called in-service days. I mean, now you end up getting a week off for fall break, which is lame as hell. But we had in-service days. Now, on in-service days, it was great because you got off-time school. Thursday and Friday, you were off for in-service days. I never really know what the in-service was, but it was great. So you get time off right before Halloween, October. Great time of year to have 2 days off. The problem was, you got to go out and do all your Halloween fun. We're throwing corn. We're soaping windows, hanging out, going to the Apple Festival. But no, not me, James, because the first half of the semester, my grades pop. And we get these things sent in the mail called smoke-ups. They were called smoke-ups. And I never knew why they were called smoke-ups. You just never wanted one. And I have an entire book of smoke-ups. They were if you were not doing well in a class. So the smoke-ups are mailed to my house. Thus, I have to own it. I can't go out and do a damn thing during in-service days because I'm grounded. Did you look up smoke-ups?
I did. Would you like to know what the Google AI says it was called a smoke-up?
Why is that?
The term originated because these midterm notices warned students that they were on the verge of getting D or F grades because these failing marks were typically circled in red ink. Receiving the paper burned your grade point average and signaled that you were going up in flames.
There was not one of those that I did not have to take ownership and set some time out and set some fun out, man. Yeah, the entitlement prevails and it continues to prevail. That is just a tremendous issue. I sit around and you make light of it and you laugh about it. And we knew it was going to be a point in time, especially around here, whenever we got sports wagering around here when it became legal and it just absolutely exploded. I mean, we knew that, further down the road, we were going to be dealing with stories that were tough on people that got swallowed up by it. And, Brendan Sorsby appears to be somebody that was swallowed up. But, the ownership is one thing, but all of this to be able to play football, we're not talking about like John Elway here. All this to be able to play football. All this because Texas Tech has already spent NIL money on you. And because I guess a local judge says, yeah, this is, will provide irreparable damage. And what irreparable damage? I mean, the damage has already been done. Now you have to work your way out of it. It doesn't seem like getting what you want out of this is working your way out of it too much. Thus, it's more laughable than it is anything else, and it's just so modern day. Nothing more modern day than that. Hey, JMV, so I went to the Indiana-Kentucky boys and girls high school all-star games this weekend. The kids from the state of Indiana won both games. The most impressive player, Ashlyn James from Kentucky, and she's going to be going to Indiana next year. Go IU. That's from Matt. That's something else that over the weekend you kind of get sad about. That used to be such a major deal. It was the last opportunity, for example, before Luke Ertl, plays in high school and goes off and plays at Purdue for Matt Painter. And Grayson Gilliard, the Miss Basketball of the state of Indiana, is going to Stanford from Center Grove. And it is really cool that is still something that they do. It's just not as celebrated as it once was, not even close to as celebrated as it once was. And that's unfortunate. It is truly one of those things around here that is out of sight, out of mind. But I know to a lot of you still do pay attention to it, but just not enough out there ultimately do pay attention. Thus, it's just fallen off in terms of level of interest right there. But a shout out to them and their participation, and then now off to college to see the impact that they're going to have in the transfer portal NIL era of college athletics, which can be really good, as we've witnessed around here, with incredible results, and then really bad, have we witnessed as well. Knicks and Spurs coming up later on tonight. I get this question, JMV, do you expect the Pacers to jump right back on and be the team in the Eastern Conference to match up against the Knicks next year? Meaning, do you think the Knicks are going to be as good next year as they are right now? I think the opportunity does prevail just because you would think that most of their guys are going to be back. I'll give you a great example of the Knicks. I thought if they were going to disappoint this season, and there were some points in the regular season where you thought ultimately disappointment was on the inbound. But if they were going to disappoint, then maybe Bridges, maybe Karl Anthony Towns, you'd make some changes in that capacity. But with this, it looks like you have the right group. And I know that you are built around here to hate them, and I am not going to try to have you sidestep your hatred for the Knicks whatsoever. That's fine. But I do like Brunson. And I thought about this a little bit more. One of the other reasons why I like Brunson as much as I do is he's a guy that had a father that played in the NBA, that was high-level high school, goes to Villanova, had to build into his role as a go-to guy at Villanova. And if you remember, I believe he was a second-round selection by the Dallas Mavericks, and he wanted a little bit more. He wanted to be like the number one. And I don't think anybody out there ever really envisioned him being a number one option on a team, but most importantly, as a closer of a championship level team. I don't think anybody ever thought that. And that's exactly what he has become. I know the head bobbing, the foul baiting, all this stuff can drive you nuts. But the growth as a player, the determination as a player, is something I think a lot of basketball fans, even around here, would have to admire just a little bit. Not suggesting you root for them because I'm sure as hell not. But as far as just being a basketball fan, I do have a great deal of admiration for him and what he has accomplished. Because most of what he has accomplished, people never thought he would. There are always others that were supposed to be better. Hey, remember, he was on a team. He and Luka were on the same team, and he was by far the second option. And he wanted more out of that and bet on himself with a deal with the Knicks. And that has worked out incredibly well. With a Game 3 coming up later on tonight, you have the Spurs and the Knicks. The Spurs down in this best of 7. 2-0, losing 2 games at home. So obviously, if there is a must-win situation, this would be a must-win situation. So you imagine game number 3. And the price tags for tickets and the president attending. You imagine what game 4 would be like if the Knicks win tonight. What game 4 will amount to if the Knicks win tonight? That ticket price, all that goes on to it, that's probably going to, if this hasn't been a record breaker for game number 3, game number 4 would be a record. So I really think there has to be a little bit of sadness thrown into this. Can't be, because this also, when you look at the Knicks and their march through the postseason, this is somewhat, if not entirely unprecedented, is it not? Do you really want it to be like that? You have to have a little bit of resistance. You have to count on the Spurs, hope that the Spurs provide a little bit of resistance. This team will be viewed, because it's the Knicks, because it's New York, it'll be viewed as one of the greatest to ever do it, to ever win a title, because of what they accomplished in the postseason. So the Spurs are kind of working for the rest of the basketball universe right now, again, to provide just a smidge of resistance. It almost does not seem right. And here we are. JMV, I don't like him because he's just as bad as SGA, and all the flopping, all the free throws, all the BS that he pulls. No, I'm not a big fan. I know a lot of you are turned off by that, and I probably should be more turned off than I am, but I think all the other stuff that I explained, I think admirably explained, kind of plays a significant role right here, for real. Fever Mystics coming up later on tonight. Tidrow gets you started here at 6:30. We got to go a little bit of extra time. So James, I have not heard. So I am in World Cup limbo right here. World Cup limbo. I have sent the message to Sonabin. Where is your bro? Where's your soccer bro?
You put the bat signal out?
Come on, man. Sitting here waiting, nothing. Does it go to voicemail or anything?
It rings, and then it goes to voicemail.
Is there a message or just...
Oh, yeah. I left a voicemail, and I texted him, too. So, feels like we've done our part.
We have done our part. So, if you guys go World Cup uneducated, you cannot blame me, because I've tried my damnedest. And we had the dude on from Fox Sports who was really good last Friday, too. Yeah. I mispronounced his name at the start and everything, which is normal.
You actually mispronounced it at the end, too.
I did?
Yeah, when we re-racked it, and you went back to mispronouncing it the same way.
That's just like me. Hey, JMV, did anybody get Nicolas Cage's autograph? Yeah, if anybody got his autograph, let me know. $450 for the Nicolas Cage Indiana Comic Con autograph. I did not see a picture or a video of anything of him. I did see somebody had Amy Smart and had a picture with her, which was savvy. That's well done because she smoke.
What would you rather spend money on? Would you rather spend $450 getting Nick Cage's autograph, or would you rather spend $50,000 for near courtside tickets for Game 3 tonight?
Yeah, well, probably... the $50,000, I would $450 on Nicolas Cage's autograph. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it would have to be Nicolas Cage coming up next to me and shooting a video saying, hey, this is my best friend, JMV, and I know he's a big fan of Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Valley Girl, and, he really would have been good in Valley Girl if he'd have been old enough to try out for one of the roles. And I mean, it have to be something incredibly personalized. It just can't be his Nicolas Cage bullcrap signature. It's got to be something personalized.
I would hope that
he would have to come to Paradise Day Watson on Sunday to the pool.
I would hope that it wasn't just,
he would
you
have
walk
to
up.
Shave his chest hair like he did in Valley Girl.
I would hope it wasn't just that you walk up after spending $450. He just signs a paper.
Can you imagine?
Just hands it off, and that's it.
You have to spend time with these people if they spent that, don't you?
Oh, you'd have to. I mean, otherwise, you're going to get a lot of bad PR for it.
Like, seriously, somebody'd have to, drive his ass down to Bargersville, and he would have to throw back some beers and stuff with us on Sunday.
That'd be a lot of fun, though.
Now, I don't know if he plays basketball. He could have played pickup with us yesterday and played with James Boyd and Caleb. He could be on their team. It's $450 for just an autograph. That's some BS right there.
That's wild.
Quick break. We'll come back. We know Boylan's going to be here. We know Holder's going to be here. And I know that I have Hagar Springfield tickets to give away before the end of the show. Fever Mystics later on tonight. Game number 3 of the NBA Finals later on tonight. Road shows Thursday and Friday and more to come. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. You stick right there at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
A few showers lingering across central Indiana tonight. Temperatures only cooling to near 70 degrees. More scattered showers and thunderstorms expected for our Tuesday with highs in the mid-80s. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Kendall Wilson for The Fan.
Hey, John here for the District Tap. 2 locations, Northside, Clearwater Crossing, downtown Indy. So a night like tonight, I give a great Monday night place, the District Tap, and here's why. Because you have the happy hour specials, damn good food, and you have the damn good food everlasting throughout the evening. But here's what's great. So you get some stuff that's on tonight, right? And you want multi-viewing, you're going to get multi-viewing because the TVs are everywhere. And remember this, some strategery from your good friend, the host. You place yourself and who you're with where the TVs and what you want to watch are directly over the shoulders. And you can still make that eye contact and act like you're paying attention to somebody that you're with while you're really watching what you want to watch. Telling you, it is genius, and only at the district tap do you have that opportunity in every single seat. It's amazing. The district tap, seriously. Damn good food, happy hour specials, live music, event space, catering, plus the strategy of making sure whoever you're with is happy and you're happy as well, seeing your favorite events. Check it out online, thedistricttap.com. Hey, it's JMV here for Low T Center. Getting older is a part of life. Feeling exhausted all the time does not have to be. If your energy is down, your sex drive isn't what it used to be, your workouts feel more difficult, your focus is off, you may have low T, and it's time to head to the Low T Center. So about 1 in every 4 men over 40 have low testosterone, and for many men, the symptoms happen so gradually you may not even notice or just assume it's stress, work, lack of sleep, or just a part of aging. Low T Center provides specialized hormone health and testosterone replacement therapy. They use lab work. Symptoms, health history, and TRT may help support energy, focus, libido, body composition, mood, and overall quality of life. You don't have to settle for free or feeling less than your best in this case. Low T Center works with most insurance providers and offers a free testosterone test for men who want the answers. If you want those answers, fixmylowt.com to book your appointment today. That's fixmylowt.com.
The Ride with JMV.
And the beat goes on, yeah. And the beat goes on.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, I mentioned that the Heat have a deal with a local television station to provide their games, regular season games this season. I kind of wonder what's going to end up happening with the Pacers with that regard. I know there's a lot of time to make that decision, and I'm sure it will be forthcoming, but, you know, obviously the situation with no more FanDuel and what options are going to be there for the regular season for the Pacers. Now, we shall see. I think it's WPLG in South Florida with the Heat games. And we shall see how it ends up down here. Kind of interesting, though, because we will have to find a little bit something more out at some point. One of these days, it is going to have to become easier. One of these days. And I don't think it just pertains to me being old and out of touch or out of sync or lack of being savvy with technology. At some point you go, man, I don't know where this is, and I'm sick of jacking around with it, so let's do something else. One of these days. We'll see what ends up coming together as far as the Pacers are concerned. I will say this, and not even that I want it right now, but if I do want to watch it, the Reds are still right there on my direct TV. losing games and sucking and having no bullpen and the same type of crap that we've had to sit through for the last 13 seasons. Still right there. Still easy to find. But, yeah, we shall see. A lot going to be interesting out of there. There's no doubt about it. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, we have found him. We moved up about 30 minutes right here. My apologies to our next guest. He is the former U.S. men's national team player, 2010 in South Africa, part of a team that advanced to the group stage in the World Cup, on to the knockout round. He had been playing soccer for a long time at a high level, and we need his education here. Jay Demerit joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, Jay, thank you so much for taking the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? Happy to be here.
Outstanding. Mark sends his regards. So I don't know how you guys know one another, but he is a damn good dude.
He certainly is. Yeah, no, we go way back from our high school days. We played sports together, all that fun stuff in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where we grew up, and we went to high school together and all the rest. So, yeah, it was good for him to connect and put us in touch, and happy to share all my experiences in the game as we're moving into a World Cup, and people forget it's coming soon.
Yeah, it is coming big time soon for the U.S. men's national team as of Friday in L.A. Do you like the makeup of this roster? Are there any comparables to the roster that you were a part of in 2010?
Yeah, I think so. You know, the good thing about soccer is that it's, it's very positional. And so there's only so many molds that can fit into certain positions. And so I think, I see a lot of our team and this team, not only from the success of the players that play at their club ball in Italy and England and all the big leagues, which our team had a lot of our roster members playing in Europe and doing things. And even then, now the MLS is even a way better league. And so even the MLS guys are good enough now. And so I do see our roster as being deep. My only worry is that we haven't played enough together, because that does matter the deeper into the lane you go. Because Pochettino has kind of chopped and changed a little bit with his lineups. The only risk for me is that not that the players aren't good enough or that they're not going to be good enough to perform the way that they need to. It's just, have they played well long enough together that when they're playing against Brazil in a quarterfinal, like, are they ready? And that's my only worry. But we got that's in the future, and that could be 5 games away. And a good team needs 5 games. That's way more than enough.
Saw today Chris Richards is going to be available for Friday against Paraguay. From a soccer angle, how big of a deal is that, Jay?
Well, as a defender, it's huge. You know, defense wins championships, not the other way around. So we're seeing it. We see it in hockey every year. We see it in all these different things. NFL. You know, the same in soccer, and you need your best defenders. You need the guys that are going to go back there and close the door, and he's certainly one of them. He's a big player. He's had success in his teams in England. He's played at the highest level with that pressure. You know, that's the other side I always ask is, you know, have these guys played under pressure before? Because the World Cup will give you a pressure that no one else has ever seen before. So it's just about making sure that those guys are capable and ready to understand it and be ready for it. And I think he's one of those players for us. And I think he's going to be a big one if we can keep him healthy. And I know that's why he didn't play this last week, and that gives him another week to be with the physios and make sure he's right. And again, like, we're at the highest level. You're not going to fake it. If you're healthy enough, you'll play, and if you're not, then they'll push you to wait. So I hope that he's ready to go, and because we're going to need him.
2010 U.S. national team member in South Africa advanced to the knockout stage, if you remember that. Jay Demerit joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. A World Cup for the U.S. begins coming up on Friday against Paraguay. I want to get a breakdown of you with that matchup in mind in just a second. But it's funny, you go back to the Germany game, and I know that was kind of a workout they had a couple of days ago. They lose, but there were some good things that came away from that. What were some of those that you saw?
Well, what I like is our patterns of play right now are good. We're creating a lot of chances. Even the wonder finish from Robinson, again, to have a defender be able to come up and do that means you got good players all around the park. And I think that's what we need. You know, again, if we can go back to the conversations as, you know, getting out of the group good enough for the U.S. And as a former player, it was good enough for us in 2010. I don't think it's good enough now. I do think we need to start showing that a week in advance, and we can go and play against the big clubs and the teams like Brazil and go out against Germany and win. Like this whole happy to be here stuff needs to continue to evolve. And I think, again, 2-1 to Germany, it doesn't look bad on paper, but again, we created chances. We started the game very well. And I think we look like we belong there. So again, the more we continue to gel now over the next couple of weeks, again, I like to think that we have good chances to not just get out of groups anymore, but to push the later rounds.
Where's Paraguay as far as the group stage is concerned? What type of opposition will they show coming up on Friday in Southern California?
I mean, they're always strong. I played in the Copa America against Paraguay, and same idea. Any team from South America is going to play fast, and they're going to play tough as defensively as a unit. So they'll get behind the ball, they'll press, they'll be aggressive. Any of those South American teams usually have that kind of guile as a team defense. So we always have to make sure that those types of teams are matched up against. So tenacity, you got to match. And I think that team will come in with a lot of tenacity. I think they're probably second favorite in our group behind us. And, again, but if we get off to a good start against one of the best teams in our group, then that bodes us well for the future games in the next couple. So that's got to be the goal. They're going to come out of the gates heavy. Again, there's nothing. Most teams from Central and South America love beating America.
Yeah.
There's no disrespect in a way that is a respect to our country, but it's also a lot of political reasons and all the rest. And so, there's a lot of that for sure. They're going to come in hot, ready to beat the U.S. That is a fact. And we got to make sure to stand up against that. And again, I think our players are better, and I think that we have an ability of man v man. Are we a better team than Paraguay? Yes. It's just the outside factors that we just got to make sure we stand up against. And I think we're going to be just fine.
Hey, Jay, do you think that the U.S. men's national team or soccer at this level in general, should they be more advanced right now than how we view them going into a World Cup in the United States? Would you expect them, or should they be more advanced in your opinion?
I mean, it's the question I get a lot, and I think it's a relevant question because we've been at this a while now. One thing I will always remind people, wearing a badge in England, captaining a Premier League team, I wore a badge that said 1881 on the badge. And when I walked out the Whitecaps here in the MLS as one of the first 3 NASL teams, so arguably the oldest in North American soccer history, that badge said 1974. So if you think about it, we're 90 years behind culture. And that's who comes, why the players play, what opportunities they can have through the game. Like, we're just getting to that right now in America. Like, these countries, Italy, Brazil, France, like, they've been doing this since the 1800s. So no wonder why they're the ones getting to the finals. They're the ones. It's all relative. And so I do think based on, the last 25 years of growing culture, we deserve to be in the conversation. Do I think that we are there yet to compete with the best countries in the world? Probably not, in all honesty. But I do think, in all honesty, I think, again, in 6 weeks' time, I may have a more solidified answer. But because, again, we judge it based on every 4 years because it's the way it needs to be, and that's the way we should judge, in all honesty. And so I'm the same. And if they have a bad World Cup, I'm like, no, we need to do a full-on sweep because we hadn't made World Cups even the last previous years, and now we come in and not be successful, then I think it's a rewrite, in all honesty. We got to change some things. I do think that a lot of these guys that are first-teamers right now on our national team, the Pulisic's, the McKinneys, the Tim Reams, these guys have been at the highest level for a long time. Now it's up to them to put on good performances. It's up to them to step into this pressure and be the players we know that they are, but they got to do it when it matters. That's the only time we're judging them, and they got to do it now. And so, again, good luck to them and the pressure that comes with it, but we are ready to advance, and I hope they do it so then we can actually say we're advancing.
Hey, Jay, what's your prediction?
I predict we definitely get out of the group. I'd love to see a quarterfinal, and that's a bit selfish because I have tickets to the Seattle quarterfinal, and if we win our group, then I get to watch them.
I tell you what, if you don't mind, I would love to spend more time with you if you have time, maybe later on this week or next week, if we get a view of how they look in this first match coming up on Friday. Plus, I want to talk about what you're doing nowadays a little bit more long form. Would you have the time if we called you back at some point here in the next day or so, not day or so, but the next week or so?
Absolutely. Again, I am someone that understands the culture of the game very deeply, and based on my experience and the things that I got to do so fortunately in the game. And I love talking about this sport. Again, I would consider myself an expert in the opinion. It's just happy to come on and lend my lend my experience, because that's the World Cup. We got to do this stuff.
I can't find my ass with both hands on this most of the time. With basketball, it's easy, Jay, but with this, it's much more difficult, and it's significant because I want to be able to teach the audience out there, what they need to know, what they would like to know about this. And when Mark introduced me to this opportunity, I just felt it's so valuable to have somebody that's actually been a part of this at the highest of levels, not just talking about it because, they've written articles. And, man, I'd love and value your input on this the rest of the way, if you wouldn't mind.
I love it. Let's do it.
Jay, I appreciate your time here today. We will be in touch later on this week and then into next week, and we'll see, especially after that first match coming up on Friday, how things go. We'll get you back on again.
Sounds awesome. And then anyone else in Wisconsin or near there, we're doing a watch party at Lambeau Field right across the street at Titletown. We got Mason Crosby, a couple Packers, Lauren Sesserman, former World Cup player from Green Bay, and myself. So any other listeners that are near Wisconsin, let us come down and enjoy.
Man, how many people are going to be in Lambeau Field to watch this?
It's across the street at Titletown. So the Packers thing, but it's like they got a field across the street.
That's awesome.
And so we're doing all the activation, putting a big movie screen up there, watch the game, get some Packers fans involved, start to build some football bridges,
I gotta also find out one of these days how you ended up at this level of soccer, playing on mostly frozen fields your entire life growing up. That's incredible.
Now that's the most interesting story.
Well, I tell you what, when we have a longer form and more time, we'll do that when you come back on, because that's highly interesting.
I love it. No, thanks again for having me, guys. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
You got it, Jay. Thank you. Jay Demerit right there, the 2010 U.S. men's national team rep. Also played for Watford. He was a captain for Watford. As he explained, this guy has credentials unlike anybody we've ever had on this show as a soccer player, to be honest with you. And a shout out to Mark Sonovan, who actually introduced me to him. We got our wires crossed on the time right here. He was doing some stuff. But this guy played in 2010 in the FIFA World Cup in South Africa. And they advanced to the knockout stage. He grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And that's one thing I was trying to figure out, soccer in Green Bay, Wisconsin. But well done. Jay Demerit on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. James, we'll track that down again, maybe coming up early next week after this first match, for sure. Quick break, we'll come back. Pat Boylan, top of the hour. Stephen Holder, bottom of the hour. Sammy Hagar, Rick Springfield tickets before the end of the show. AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. John here for the best in realty. It's Mark Dietel Realty. You know all about it. I tell you the story all the time regarding Mark and the job he's going to get done for you. Not everybody's going to be the same in all this. You got to go with the best. Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, RTIETEL.com today. So thinking about a couple of different things. Maybe now if you had a graduating senior, empty nesting, you don't need all the space. Downsizing is something that all the time does not come easy. A little helper with the best in realty is exactly what you're looking for. Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. It's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, markdietel.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what you'll find?
Picture me?
No. The definition of the word idiot, which you f***ing are.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, Jay DeMerit was awesome just now. We'll do that again coming up. Ralston's Draft House with Michelob Ultra coming up on Friday. A little preview, I'm sure, of the World Cup starter in Southern California. Paraguay is the matchup. We'll be there at 3 o'clock coming up on Friday. Hey, Thursday, Fox Garden in Fortville. Can't wait for that. So Joe sent me this, James. Here's a picture of Nicolas Cage, who was sitting across the aisle from my buddy Mike Whitlock as they shared the same flight from L.A. to Indy last week. Someone on our bourbon and cigar group told Mike he should have gotten him to sign a cigar. Nicolas Cage he's not in first class either. This is in coach. He's sitting right next to somebody.
Oh, he's a man of the people right there.
He's yeah. And he's reading something. Looks like he's reading a script because it's got his name across it. It looks like he's reading a script here.
He very likely could be.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for that. Man, I'm glad you guys like that. I'm not a soccer person, JMV, but that guy was great. You know, he played in the World Cup in 2010. He played. Didn't write about it. Didn't talk about it. He played in it. I don't know when I would ever have the opportunity to get somebody on like that. Sonoban, shout out to you. That was awesome. We'll get Jay back on coming up next week after this initial match on Friday. Pat Boylan, Mystics Fever later on tonight. Pat's going to join us a little bit after 5. Stephen Holder, mandatory OTAs coming up tomorrow for the Colts. Steven's going to be here at 5:30. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. WeGrowHairIndy.com, 317-522-2995. Your real growing hair again. It's a phone call away. Darren Andrews, I talked to him last week as well. I'm going through the whole booster process of it too. Could not be more happy after 9 years of WeGrowHairIndy.com. If you want your real growing hair back, the option is yours. It is there. But you got to start by calling Darren Andrews, 317-522-2995. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
He's my best friend. He's my pal. He's my homeboy, my rotten soldier. He's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Jay Demerit from the 2010 U.S. men's national team. The FIFA World Cup then in South Africa starts coming up on Friday. Ralston's Draft House for us on Friday with Michelob Ultra. U.S. Paraguay coming up at 9 o'clock in Southern California. That is on Friday. And a shout out to Jay. I have heard from so many of you that said, I don't really care or know too much about soccer, but that was awesome. And my thought was giving him even more time next week would be even more awesome, and I would agree. You just don't get that opportunity with guys in that sport that played at that level, especially here in Indy, to get him on the radio. That was a must, and a shout-out to Mark Sonnabend for setting that up with his high school teammate growing up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. JMV, I typically don't advise anyone listening to Sonnabend, but I got to give it to him. Jay was awesome. Good work. Shout out to Sean Collinsworth right there, too. Mike McGlynn, the former Colts offensive lineman, is going to join us coming up on tomorrow's show, too. I don't think I've talked to Mike McGlynn in about 8+ years. Mike's going to join us coming up tomorrow. A lot of stories, a little football conversation. Mandatory OTAs for the Colts start tomorrow. Stephen Holder with a breakdown of that coming up later on this hour. But Mike McGlynn's going to join us coming up on the show tomorrow. I should also mention Ralston's Draft House with Michelob Ultra on Friday. Me, Brent Halverson, our betting analyst, Tony Renz from the Indiana Standard Bread Association, and we're going to be at Fox Garden Kitchen and Ale in Fortville. You guys got to join us. Seriously, it is the first time in about 4 months. Actually, I take that back. The second time in about 4 months since Brent and I have been on the show together. Last time was baseball's opening day at Joe's Grill. But we are back together at Fox Garden on Thursday, and I need the whole Hee-Haw gang out there. Can you make it? Great opportunity. But last time, too, we were at Ralston's Draft House. Awesome time. So excited to be back. That is coming up Thursday, Fox Garden in Fortville. Friday, Ralston's Draft House. A lot has been made about the president showing up at Game 3 tonight, and I'm not going to talk too much about it. Listen, I don't mind. I don't mind if a sitting president shows up for a sporting event, and I really don't care who it is. And I really don't mind if the hassle is going to be on somebody else. If the hassle is on all other people going to this, then so be it. But maybe it's the hassle portion of it, the whole political part of it. I don't care. Go, don't go, whatever you want to do. But it was J-Law that reminded me, and I had completely forgotten that the president showed up for the college football national championship game, where we were at Hard Rock on that Monday night back in January. I'd completely forgotten about that. And J-Law had reminded that they were advised to be there between 4 and 4:30. And then I was reminded that I got there like right before game time because I had to do this show up until I think about 6:15 or 6:30 that afternoon because we were doing it on the beach at the Diplomat in Hollywood, Florida, which was awesome. Thank you, J-Law, for that. JMV, the Nicolas Cage autographs for pre-sign. He was, I guess, actually here. There's a photo from Joe Dixon that was sent to me on a flight here. Now, hopefully, I saw a lot of people. I was on the inbound on Saturday night during the JMV takeover, so I go down. I think what was it? West Street was closed going south, but open going northbound. I go up, and obviously those that were attending Indiana Comic Con were dressed as you knew that they were attending Indiana Comic Con. But I did get pictures. Somebody had taken pictures with actress Amy Smart. I know Gene Simmons of Kiss was there. There were more than just a few at this event. That's a great picture, by the way, on the flight of Nicolas Cage right there. Rocking the hat and the glasses. And I swear to you, it looks like, James, I'll have to send this to you. I swear he's reading a script. He is reading a script on an iPad right there.
Now, can you tell what the script is saying? Can you see any of the words on it?
Slightly, but there is, it's a page and it has his name, Nicolas Cage, diagonally through it. So you can still read the text of what is being sent in the script, but it has his name. So I'm assuming
it's like a watermark.
Yes,
gotcha.
Correct. So you could it's meant for him and him alone.
Gotcha.
Here.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a hell of a picture you got there. That is really good. So if you went to Indiana Comic Con, here's to having one hell of a good time down there. NBA Finals later on tonight. 8:30 the game tips off with the Knicks up 2-0, best of 7. The Spurs, you're thinking things are bad going into tonight if you hate the Knicks and you hate all the hoopla surrounding the Knicks, all the love given to the Knicks. Can you imagine if they go up 3-0? Because basically you feel as if this series is over right now anyway. And then consider this. Consider this, Pacer fans, the excitement that was the NBA Finals a year ago. And if this is a sweep, yet another the NBA, you almost get what you deserve without the blue and gold, don't you? Just another reason why this product needs the Pacers to be the Pacers again as quickly as next year. Without a doubt. They need them. As I've mentioned, the rest of the Eastern Conference sucks. And I hate to say it, too, because the Knicks will go down in history with one of the best efforts, maybe the best we've ever seen. I don't know where this would compare to past NBA champions. But you think about how this Knicks team has run absolute roughshod through the postseason. They have 2 losses, don't they? They have 2 losses to the Hawks in round number 1, and to this point, that is it. Two losses to the Hawks. By the way, those 2 losses were 1-point losses. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. I believe he's got the call coming up later on tonight. The Fever and the Mystics in Washington. Pat Boylan joins us. I want to get to that in just a second, but you obviously do Pacers work as well, both radio and TV. I'm curious, this Knicks run, when you look at it in terms of the postseason, in comparison to others, how historically dominant has this been? Because there have been few, I would suggest, like it.
Yeah, John, good to be with you. I would agree. There have been very few quite like it, and it's amazing that it's coming, in my opinion, from this Knicks team, because I've always viewed them as very high floor, but maybe not the ceiling for a championship caliber team, or certainly one that's going to rattle off 13 straight games. So, yeah, I mean, the just consistency, I think, is what stands out to me. There have been very few stretches where they haven't been at their best. And the only time that I can think of that they weren't at their best was that game 1 against Cleveland for a lot of the night, but they have that tremendous comeback victory. So, look, I mean, it's pretty much the same group that the Pacers beat the last 2 years, which is what makes this so hard to comprehend. But I think all you can do is tip your cap, because I think a lot of people, and admittedly, I fell into this group, said, okay, well, listen, each team in front of them went 7 games. The worst team won their series. But once you get to the finals, San Antonio is a completely different opponent than they have faced so far. Well, they're not through. They've still got to win 2 more times. But so far, it's been different caliber of opponent, but same result. It's been impressive to watch, albeit maybe a little frustrating if you're a Pacers fan.
I think about it in these terms. Mike Brown maybe won't go down in history as the greatest coach of all time, but in comparing to what Tom Thibodeau did, and Tom Thibodeau was a high-level coach too, Mike Brown has had support for a group that Tom Thibodeau would historically run into the ground by the postseason. And I think that's a lot of it. The usage of the bench, what you're getting out of the bench, and not wearing down to the nub the guys that you count on in the postseason before the postseason is underway. I think, tactically speaking, that's what Mike Brown has done at his best with this group.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because when you look at some of the numbers that those guys would play in previous years, and then you get to the playoffs, and then they would face a team like the Pacers, who's going to put Andrew Nembhard on you, and in Jalen Brunson's case, guard you 90 feet. I think the Pacers had a lot of success in wearing the opponent down, wearing the Knicks down specifically. That almost felt like a buzzword the last couple playoffs: wear the opponent down, get later into the series and you'll have success. And I thought the Pacers had a lot of success with that against the Tom Thibodeau Knicks. You talk to anybody around here that's been around the Pacers for a long time, and they speak nothing but extremely highly about Mike Brown. But oftentimes you'll hear the compliments to Mike Brown come from an assistant coach perspective. That's what he was here. And he's had, some good runs as an NBA head coach, but nothing quite like this. So I think kudos to him for adapting himself. But the Knicks kind of feel like a modern version of the teams that we've seen the last couple of years. And clearly it's working here, and San Antonio has to figure something out very, very quickly, or this series could be over very, very quickly.
Game 3 later on tonight at 8:30. The Knicks up 2-0, best of 7 NBA Finals. Pat Boylan joins us from D.C. Fever and Mystics coming up in just a bit. We'll get into that as well. And the Pacers not being a part of that because the Eastern Conference was a cakewalk for them. There's just not really a team like the Pacers that the Knicks had to handle. And I will say this, their dominance knows no bounds in this postseason because their 2 losses to the Hawks were both by 1 point. So if they were to, for example, sweep the Spurs, I don't know if you could ever find a more dominant postseason run than we have witnessed with this Knicks team.
It's a really good point, because you look at both of those losses they had in the Atlanta series, and to a degree, both were kind of collapses. The first one was certainly a huge collapse. The second one, they actually got way down, but came back and had a lead in the waning moments, and then lost that game 3 against Atlanta in what felt like 2 months ago, and they haven't lost since. It's amazing you're talking about that with this group, because typically when you think of the all-time dominant teams, you're talking about, the Warriors that had Kevin Durant on them, and you're talking about Michael Jordan's Bulls, and you're talking about true legendary groups of players. I mean, Jalen Brunson's a fantastic player, and his stock continues to rise, a lot like Tyrese Halliburton's has the last couple of days, or the last couple of years. But, you aren't hearing people talk about Jalen Brunson as a top 5 player, let alone this be the type of team that could be considered in the same breath as the 2017 Golden State Warriors, the 90s Bulls, what have you. But the results speak for themselves. The game 3 that's coming up here tonight is unquestionably massive. If you get it, the series is likely over, and maybe very quickly. If the Spurs get it, finally this run comes to an end, and the Knicks still have the upper hand in the inside track. But for the first time, they're going to face a little bit of adversity here. So tonight's game is fascinating for numerous different reasons. And if you're the Knicks, you're rolling so much, and now you're coming back home. But there's a lot of, ancillary aspects about tonight that feel different too. I'm sure they kind of wish it was a little more status quo, but they have crossed every hurdle that's been placed in front of them so far. And the Spurs have got to get it figured out and very, very quickly here, or the streak's going to continue with the Knicks championship.
That is Pat Boylan, the voice of the Fever, with the Fever and the Mystics coming up later on tonight at 6:30. Coverage here at 6:30 here, by the way, on the Fan. So the big question is, so did Breanna Stewart, did she travel to D.C. to shoot more free throws against the Fever, or what's happening?
I sure hope not. Yeah, that was frustrating, the free throw differential, because if you look at just about every statistical category the Fever won it, except the free throw differential was massive in advantage of New York, and tough to overcome that. Frustrating when you hold the Liberty under 40% from the field and they hit just 2 threes. That's a game you feel like you should win, and certainly up by 12 late in the third quarter, a game you feel like you should win. So the free throw differential was frustrating. Some of that is just your defensive composure. Of course, some of it, also could be a home whistle. It's tough to know exactly, where that line can be drawn. But the Fever, we'll look at it, and Stephanie White has already talked about this, is we had a 12-point lead late in the third quarter. Those are games that we have to win. So, to me, the Fever feel close. It's still very early in the season. But you are hitting game number 11 here tonight, which is the quarter pole of the year. The WNBA plays 44 games. Tonight's game 11. So you're already at, if we have NBA fans listening that are newer to the WNBA, this kind of feels like game 20 or 21 for the NBA season. So, yes, still early, but you're getting into mid-June here very, very soon. The All-Star breaks at the end of June and into early July. So, tonight in Washington, talking to you from D.C. right now, we'll have the call on WTHR. A good opportunity to potentially get a win, and then you're coming home for a few, and there's an opportunity there to string some together. But, consistency, I think, has been the one thing the Fever have been looking for more than anything else so far this year, and a chance to build some of that here tonight with a home-heavy stretch coming up.
So, Pat, this is the Wizards Arena and not College Park, the home of Maryland. Is that true? Normally, don't the Mystics play where Maryland plays?
They play at Care First Arena, which is unfortunately, that's where we're playing tonight. My understanding is Capital One Arena is undergoing a second round of renovations here this year. So we are not there.
Is this where Maryland plays? Where the hell are you then?
You know what? I don't know that exactly. Sir, is this where Maryland plays? No, this is not where Maryland plays. I've got a security guard over here who has answered that one for me.
Well, what the hell do they do with it? They just open it up for special occasions or what? Who plays in there?
They must, other events. It's been the home of the Mystics for more than a few years now. It's a 4,000 or 5,000 seat arena just outside of D.C. It's unfortunately the reason why I had to delay our call a little bit, because it took us 55 minutes to get from our D.C. hotel here to the D.C. arena. Makes me grateful for Indy traffic or lack of it. So appreciate you hitting pause and hold with us here.
It is Pat Boylan with us. I also mentioned this and was joking around about the free throw situation. And while that was bad on Saturday night, so was the lack of execution. That was bad, and that has haunted this team, and really, to me, on both ends of the floor at times has been the reason why we see them right now at 5-5 and a disappointing start.
Yeah, I think consistency and putting both ends of the floor together are something this team is very much still searching for. An amazing stat to me. Last 7 games, the Fever ranked second in the WNBA defensively, but they haven't been able to take advantage of that because after the just incredible offensive start, their offense has taken a step back. So it's felt like you haven't been able to put those two together at least consistently. You've, of course, had some great games. The win against Atlanta a few nights ago was really good, and I think what makes the game against New York even more frustrating is you get a really nice win against a really good Atlanta team. You're in New York and you're up by 12 against a really good Liberty team in the third quarter. You finished that one, and you got 2 straight wins. You're in D.C. tonight. You got a bunch of home games coming up. It's not to say that they can't still build momentum here going forward. They certainly can. But that was a real opportunity. The Fever were up 12 late in the third, and then they were outscored 38-18 the rest of the way. Frankly, just an extremely rare game where Boston, Clark, and Mitchell, at least to a degree, all struggled for portions of it. But certainly you feel like when you've got the offensive weapons that you do, if you have a 12-point lead late in the third, you're winning, I would say 95% of the time. Unfortunately, Saturday was in the 5%, and I think that search for consistency continues tonight here in D.C.
So Pat Boylan, who is with us, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, Channel 13 WTHR, correct?
You've got it. Yes, sir.
Wow. So you're going to get some people who are going to call in and go, who's this Boylan guy and where's my Wheel of Fortune in jeopardy? That's going to happen for you tonight.
I apologize if we do cut into that. I'm not exactly sure how that works here tonight, but we're grateful to be on WTHR. It's great to have pregame coverage, 30-minute pregame coverage on the Fan and our radio network as well. So hopefully will be a good night, whether you're watching or listening along here this evening.
You may not have an answer to this, and quickly before I let you go, the reason why I bring it up is I saw where the Heat has secured a local television rep to show their games this year. Are the Pacers still in that category in limbo? Have you heard anything regarding that? And I know there's still a lot of time before the season starts, but out of curiosity in that report from South Florida, I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, I did see that today as well. It was in a group chat of ours that includes Chris Denary. He is the expert for all of us. He kind of gives us that info. So he's probably the one to talk to, although my understanding is nothing has been finalized. But there's certainly looking at multiple options and hopefully one that'll come sooner rather than later. And I think there's a fair amount of optimism that it'll be a step forward in terms of viewership for the fan base and all of that. But no, I haven't heard much. Perhaps Chris knows more. Perhaps there is news coming in the distant future. But as of right now, I have my phone, look at our group chat, and I wait for the Denary text to come in. And that's how I find out about it.
Aaliyah Boston was questionable. Is she playing tonight?
You know what? I haven't got the official ruling, but she went through the shoot around. She looked pretty good. She seemed optimistic. So I'm leaning in that direction, but obviously you never know. It's possible that determination has come since we've been talking. I'm in a loading dock right now, so I'm not quite next to Stephanie White.
And Caitlin Clark, by the way, is probable. I know you got to get working. So, Pat, we appreciate that, man. We'll do it again soon. Thanks, pal.
Sounds good. Appreciate you, John.
Pat Boylan, the voice of the Fever, Channel 13 WTHR for that later on tonight. 6:30, Tidrow takes over here at the pregame show. And then John Nolan's got you coming up at 7 o'clock. The Fever and the Mystics from, what's it called, Carefree or Care something or other? Or I don't even know what the hell that is in D.C. The pictures coming out of Madison Square Garden of Victor Wembanyama getting security wanded because the president of the United States is going to be in attendance. And this is all players, all staff, the Spurs and the Knicks going through layers of security. The wanding of Wembanyama is outstanding. You see these pictures of Wembanyama getting wanded by security? Oh, that's great. That's great. 8:30 tonight for that one. Quick break, we'll come back. Mandatory OTAs. Or minicamp, or whatever the hell it's called. Mandatory practice for the Colts. Stephen Holder's got the latest. He'll preview that coming up on the other side. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Premier Deck Coating. Call Ron. Get that quote seriously. We are now in the time where you're going to LIVIN, and that is outside, and especially in your outdoor living space, your back deck. And you want it to look spectacular. And Ron and Premier Deck Coating at 317-696-4071 will transform, and you will have an incredible outdoor living space. Don't worry about staining or painting every year or so. This is going to be cost effective for you. Repels moisture, scratch resistant, virtually any color imaginable. It is perfect. You love your outdoor living space. Make sure it looks its absolute best, and call Ron and get the free quote from Premier Deck Coating today. Tell them I sent you. 317-696-4071. Also great on fences, pergolas, and anything that you love outside. Premier Deck Coating can help beautify that. That's premierdeckcoating.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Sis boom ba. Sis boom ba. Describe the sound made when a sheep explodes.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Jay Demerit a little bit earlier today played in the 2010 FIFA World Cup for the U.S. men's national team. They advanced out of the group stage into the knockout round, lost to Ghana in 2010. He was a part of that group that was Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey, Tim Howard, and the like. But Jay joined the show a little bit earlier for a quick thumbnail sketch of the start of the World Cup in which the United States is hosting. That was awesome. If you missed that, podcast 1075thefan.com. Fever and Mystics tonight, 6:30 coverage begins here on The Fan. Pat Boylan has you on Channel 13 WTHR for the broadcast later on tonight as well. Meantime, locally, mandatory minicamp begins tomorrow for the Colts. And joining us to talk about that and then some on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is Stephen Holder with us. Stephen, good afternoon. How are you?
How are we doing? It is the apex of the off season, I guess. So
the apex of the off season, right there, which is
I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I'm getting at.
That sounds good. Hey, I did want to ask you this: when you first read the Brendan Sorsby granted injunction story on ESPN.com, the website in which you write for, it looks like, with the quotes, it's something from The Onion. It really does. You go, what? Like when Judge Ken Curry rules that, quote, probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if he's unable to play for the Red Raiders in 2026, there's no way that's a real quote, is it? There's no way.
I don't know. I didn't go to law school, but that's a lot of big words.
Lord have mercy.
In one sentence, man. I mean, they didn't teach that in the school of communications, so I don't know, man.
Hey, by the way,
you're asking the wrong guy.
Do you think anymore? Here's what's not being taught: ownership. Yeah. like ownership, and it is entitlement prevails again, and that sets such a bad precedent, and we continue down that path.
Yeah, I think that's fair, man. Like, look, I am not one to sit here and give you the speech that some of these college administrators and coaches are giving, these players who for years were free labor, right? I'm not going to give you that speech, right? I think those guys should shut the hell up, frankly, right? However, that being said, this is different. This is very, very different. Like, we do have to have some rules. You know what I mean? There's right and there's wrong, and you can't just like sue your way out of it when you get caught doing wrong, right? I mean, so it's a mess, man. It is a mess, and I don't know like on what grounds you make this decision. I mean, I don't understand the legal part of it. I don't, and I would have to read more in depth on it. But just from a right and wrong perspective, it does seem like he was treated in accordance with other people who have had the same issue, right?
Yes.
So that's where I get confused with it.
Yeah. Sorsby acknowledged placing at least 2,900 bets totaling more than $30,000 during his 2 years at Indiana, and at least 165 bets totaling at least $38,000 during 2 years at Cincinnati. And continued his sports betting after transferring to Texas Tech in January, acknowledged sending more than $65,000 to friends to cover bets made on his behalf during his college career. Yeah.
The other thing that stinks about this is that it's just, I mean, to be completely frank, you could argue, I don't know if I'm making this argument, but it could be argued that his presence just taints things. Because what are we dealing with today? Everything is a conspiracy, right? Everything is the refs are getting paid. Oh, somebody's taking a dive. This, that. I mean, the sports gambling, which I don't have a problem with sports gambling, but let's be honest, right? It does raise suspicions.
Everything's rigged.
All those things.
Everything is rigged. If you lose, you're rigged. Every time I lose, it's rigged. Yes.
Case where, like, now when people make those arguments and this guy's involved, I can't blame them for saying it. It might not be true, but like, could you blame them for saying it? You know what I mean? Like, that's a fair question, right?
It's funny too. When I'm growing up, like with me, when I lost, I lost because I was evidently just a big ass loser. I should have just blamed it on it being rigged. I was just a big dumb loser.
Right. I mean,
continue to
imagine having the audacity to admit to what he admitted to, and then be like, you know what? I'm gonna sue to get my eligibility back.
Crazy.
Because I did it. Don't get me wrong, I did it, but I don't care about actually suffering a consequence. I'm gonna get my eligibility back. I mean, you've got to have some stones to do that, and he did apparently.
Yes, it's all rigged. It is right there. Stephen Holder is with us. Mandatory minicamp. Where will we start as far as storylines are concerned for you? I know we've gone over the garden variety over the past couple of weeks, certainly, but where does it start coming up tomorrow?
Well, I mean, I think I want to see the full defense out there for one. I haven't seen them when they've been in these full team practices because the starting corners have not been there for the voluntary stuff. They've been there for some of it, for a lot of it. Let me rephrase that. I'm talking like Sauce Gardner, Mooney Ward. But at this mandatory camp this week, I assume, everyone will be accounted for, and we'll see that full defense start to come together. Look, I think there has been a lot more change than we have seen in years past on this defense. We've had this conversation, I think you and I, before this offseason, but for as much as we have talked about them running it back this year, they could have 5 new starters on that defense, like half the unit, 5 or 6, in fact. So, I mean, this is a very different defense, and the personnel is different. The scheme is the same, but the personnel is very, very different. So, and that's not taking into account the fact that Sauce was hurt down the stretch. Mooney Ward barely played, all those things. I mean, I'm not even counting those guys, So there's a hell of a lot of turnover on this defense, and they need the time together as much as possible. So I think this is valuable for those guys to get out there.
Yeah. Well, the defensive part is certainly interesting, and while I agree with you on the secondary, yeah, my major focus is still going to be up front because that's going to tell the tale, and I guess it just all starts with Laiatu Latu becoming what they expect him to become, and really that's the equivalent in racing terms. You're going to be going 0 to 60 in a big ass hurry, expectation wise, for him this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has that, sort of Pro Bowl level performance in him. I think it's in him. Okay, that is not the same as saying he's going to do it. That's not the same thing. I'm saying he has potential. It's the most dangerous word in sports, potential. We have used it ad nauseum over the years on different guys in different sports, right? And sometimes they reach it, sometimes they don't. I think year 3 is where you got to hit the potential. I'm actually very open-minded about young pass rushers. Some guys flash early. Jared Verse, who just got traded to Cleveland, as you know, in the Myles Garrett deal, like he was a Pro Bowler his rookie season. He really flashed that year and sort of stormed onto the scene. But not all guys at that position do it immediately. And there are guys that take time to develop. I mean, Robert Mathis is one of the greatest examples, right? I mean, it took him several years before he became what he ultimately was, which was one of the best pass rushers of all time. But that took time. So I do think, though, by year 3, I got to start to see it by year 3. Like if you're going to be that guy, we'll see it this year. So I think I've given Laiatu Latu a lot of rope and a lot of grace. I think he gets a lot less of that in year 3. You got to do it now.
So Stephen Holder of ESPN on ESPN.com. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The handling of Daniel Jones, the reps of Anthony Richardson Sr. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I think that I don't think we'll see Daniel Jones in the full team portion. I just don't think it's worth it for them to put him out there where, he could get bumped or stepped on or something unintentional. Those things do happen. And so I don't think there's anything to really gain by putting him out there for, 3 short practices or even 1 practice, where you get a handful of reps. Just don't do it. They're not going to do it, I don't think. I'm relatively sure they're not going to do it. So that leaves us with, in the team portion, the full team portion, Anthony Richardson Sr. and, to see whether he or Riley Leonard gets the majority of those reps. They're trying to spread them out evenly. We'll get a better look at that this week because in the previous 2 weeks when they've actually had full team practices, they have not, or we have as media, have not been out there for each practice. We've gotten 1 out of every 3rd practice, okay? This week, we get to see every rep, every snap, so we'll have a better sense. Now, all I can tell you based on what I've seen so far, I would argue, it's been very clear to me, Richardson has performed better. But it is a small snapshot, okay, and not the complete snapshot. This week, we get a more complete snapshot.
Yeah. It's funny. These are all kind of steps you take before the start of the season, and then obviously training camp will be coming later on this summer. But you don't know until you see it. And really, how reminiscent does it have to be to what we saw basically the first 8 weeks of the season, talking about Daniel Jones and just the overall productivity of this offense? How comparable does it have to be to what we witnessed before he was injured a year ago to make this path worthy? And I know it also comes with winning and losing, but I'm just talking about the productivity involved offensively here, because even with that return, there has been a loss. And Michael Pittman Jr., not highly productive, but a threat you have to prepare for. What levels do they have to reach to make this worthwhile for doing?
Well, I think you have to get at least in the ballpark of what you achieved last season early on, and with that record-breaking, sizzling offense. Are they going to set records every week? Well, maybe not, and I don't anticipate that.
That's a high bar, too. That's a high bar we're talking.
It is. So I'm not gonna think about it from that perspective, right? Do I expect them to break records every week? No. I mean, that's a ridiculous expectation. However, they have to be incredibly efficient, and they got to be like on the ball, no question about it. And here's the thing. They did that last year, with the defense, trying to find itself, but actually performing pretty well. Late in the season, they had when they had the defensive losses. I think the quarterback injury was compounded by the defensive losses. So we'll have to see. Like if they can get more from the defense early on, maybe it takes the pressure off the offense to be so sensational. But as I just outlined, even though you expect to get DeForest Buckner back and you have those two stars at corner, we don't know what you have up front, and you have a very young group of players who are now entering the starting lineup. Okay, so there's going to be pressure on the defense to kind of come together. I think they need some time. I think that defense needs time. So you'd love to say, hey, the defense can take some pressure off, but ultimately, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to need time, and I think the offense is going to have to lead the way. And frankly, that demands that Daniel Jones get back to looking like himself and doing it coming off a devastating injury. So, yeah, sure.
Steven,
something to ask, man. Something to ask.
I always say it all the time. You close your eyes and you grit your teeth and you cross your fingers and you hope it works out. There's a lot to hope for. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. So, hey, Stephen Holder of ESPN on ESPN.com is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. And by the way, he's chomping at the bit to send out another X message regarding Caitlin Clark. Are you excited about that? Because I can't wait to see it. Because that's a lot of fun. Have you noticed? Yeah.
I don't know why I gave in. I just, look, I like being a spectator.
It can never just be about basketball. It's got to be about other stupid crap always, and it drives me insane. It is. Yeah, until it's just about basketball, then you just got to sift through the knuckleheadedness. You just always do.
I'll just say this for the record: Caitlin is wonderful. She's a great player. I want her to focus on basketball a little more. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying this. If people get mad, then get mad. That's your problem. I don't care. Write me a nasty email. I'm fine with that. But what I'd say is there's nothing wrong with saying, like, if she would focus less on the refs and more on ball, she can only be better, right? She can only be a better player by doing that. I don't think there's anything wrong with stating that, and that's what I'm saying.
You are just saying control the controllables.
She has to control. She has to. Every single possession. You know what I'm saying? It's every possession. Relax, chill out, get back on defense. That's what I would say. I would say the same thing to your kid if they were playing in AAU. You and I, we'd say the same thing to our kids, right? That's all I'd say.
And then I don't think I'd be out there in the middle of the floor, would you? Yelling, shaking my fist at everybody. So it is incredible, but it is the world in which we live. I just thought I'd bring that up, considering I saw the back and forth that was going, the dialogue that was going on a little bit earlier. Good. I appreciate you, Stephen. Thanks, man. Stephen Holder of ESPN, ESPN.com, and the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You got in the mix on Caitlin Clark a little bit earlier today regarding that. Hey, we'll set you up for the Fever and the Mystics, Sammy Hagar, Rick Springfield, tickets too, and a little extra time for some Anything Goes after 6. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. I have the best in plumbing at your service. That's Lance and the local team at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. 317-927-7186. No matter what you need. And I know some of you have received a lot more rainfall than others right now. So hopefully and efficiently your sump pump and the battery backup is working the way that it should. But if you feel you need a new one, to make sure the water stays away from your foundation, away from where it should not be, in and around your home. They have great deals going on right now for sump pumps and battery backups with Lance and LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Give them a call. Tell them I sent you today. The best in plumbing, no matter your plumbing needs, at this number, 317-927-7186. Online, that's ldsmithplumbing.com. John here for Love Heating and Air, a Ohio dealer at 317-353-2141. How is the efficiency working for your cooling unit right now? Can you tell? Because we're talking hot and humid conditions are here to stay. And if you're not comfortable in your home, something could be going haywire. So get my friends in from Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer today by calling 317-353-2141. Give it a checkup. And all of a sudden, if you need a repair, mention my name, you're going to get $144 off the service fee. Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer, and that $144 off the service fee for any repair when you mention my name at Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141. That's John and Chris Love at your service online. Love-HVAC.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Stand by, Stryker. We're going to the tower. Good luck.
We're going to the tower.
The tower? The tower?
Rapunzel! Rapunzel!
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, number 30 on the text line. Let's activate that. 317-239-1070. Rick Springfield will open up for Sammy Hagar. The Best of All Worlds tour at Ruoff Music Center coming up on Sunday. By the way, I want to go with this. If somebody wins this and wants to take me, that'd be great. If anybody is going and would like to take me, that would be great. I think this is something that I would like to attend. If somebody is going and wants to take me and will also let me ride with you so I don't have to drive, that would be great too. But right now, I'm giving you a chance to win a pair of tickets. Number 30 on the text line, 317-239-1070. It's not essential. If you win, you don't have to take me. But surely there's somebody out there that would like to take me. Did I set too many guidelines for taking me? You got to take me. And then you got to drive. I want to drive. Number 30. Listen, it's got to be, I'm watching this right now. You got to be better than this. Is this us? Is our stream just going slow right here? Come on now. This is going to be an awesome show. I saw Springfield last summer. Awesome. And Hagar's always going to be Hagar. So let's do it. Number 30. And then who out there is going to take my ass on Sunday? Now, see, one of the reasons why you have to take me because it's Paradise Day Watson all Sunday afternoon, and then you can take me up to Ruoff Sunday night. Who's doing it? Who's in? I don't even think I went to Ruoff last summer. I don't think I attended one event last summer. There was one I was going to see, Simple Minds and Soft Cell. And remember, James, what happened on that particular Sunday night? Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Thus, I stayed home.
Understandable.
And did not grace the awesome Jim Kerr of Simple Minds with my presence. I did go to Everwise to see the Black Keys, and that was awesome. But I did not go to Ruoff last summer.
Well, I actually went to Ruoff last summer.
Oh, yeah, you went up there with those sweaty dudes and jumped all over one another in the pit. Didn't you or something?
Exactly, yeah.
Just sweaty, hairy dudes.
It was a very predominantly male crowd, for sure.
What show was it?
Pantera.
Sweaty, male, and hairy crowd. Was it a hairy crowd, too?
Yeah, I'd say
very
so.
Hairy. Yes. Look at this. Definitely not taking JMV. JMV can ride with me. If I put up a poll at 317-239-1070, who would take me under those guidelines, those provisions? You provide a ticket and then take me. I got to ride with you. It doesn't have to be shotgun. You can I can ride in the back.
So they pay their own way. And then they have to DD
and then
you.
they pay my way.
Yeah, and then they pay your way. Then they have to DD you.
I'll buy a couple of beers. A couple of low-calorie Michelob Ultra beers. Michelob Ultra, Ralston's Draft House. Got your chance to get signed up to win some World Cup tickets and that $1,800 voucher. It's on Friday, Ralston's Draft House. You guys going to be there? A blast. By the way, U.S. men's national team, they get started in the World Cup journey in Southern California on Friday night, 9 o'clock. Paraguay. And we got a tremendous break from Jay DeMeritt from the U.S. men's national team of 2010 a little bit earlier. I mean, nothing better than getting it from an actual former player, which is awesome. That podcast at 1075thefan.com. Fox Garden on Thursday. I'll explain. We got a little bit of Anything Goes coming up here, by the way, too. All right, 239-1070. What the hell? Some Anything Goes coming up next. We'll get you to, I think, a Colts update And then, no, what are we doing?
No Colts update today.
How long do I got to go then? What the hell?
Well, we're going to go till about 6:10. Then we're going to bring back Pat Boylan for a little bit, and then we will get into Pacer pregame, Fever pregame at 6:30.
Me until 6:10, and you for some Anything Goes coming up next. AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
The only time I have my radio on is in my car, and the only thing I listen to is JMV.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Love you, Reb. Love you guys, too. Let's do some Anything Goes right here at 317-239-1070. Eddie Garrison's dad says the following, James. Eddie Garrison, the producer of the Aquarium Company show. Tell John if he hooks a brother and a neighbor and his wife up with tickets to Hagar, he's got a ride.
Well, there you go.
That, unfortunately, is not my criteria. I need a ticket. I need a ticket and a ride. A ticket and a ride. That's not a lot, is it? And I'll buy a couple of beers up there. and then a ride home.
And this is at Ruoff,
I definitely
right?
need a ride home.
This is at Ruoff, right?
Yeah, and know this, that I'll be at Paradise Day Watson that afternoon, so I will already have both feet in the bag by the time you guys pick me up. And I'm just being honest with you. You say, "Oh man, it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday in the summertime, and you know how it goes. All you got to do, if you look online right now, if you look inside the AAA Membership Lounge YouTube Live, James, could you tell that I've been outside on a Sunday?
You look like you got a little bit of sun.
Yeah, it's either that or George Hamilton is recreated right here in this seat. I love poolside. Shout out to the Garrisons for that. So, Greg asked me if we have found a game for Linda from last week and I to attend yet. I have not. Linda and I are going to go to a Fever game together. Remember Linda last week who yelled at me big time?
How could I forget Linda, honestly?
I will go to a game with I have no problem with it. I'm not mad at Linda. Linda was just...
She was passionate.
She was very passionate.
She cared a lot.
She was very angry at me.
I'd love to watch you two at a game.
I would too.
I don't know if I'd pay more attention to the game or your guys' interactions.
Linda and I to a game would be great. But no, Greg, to answer your question, we have not found a date to go to the game together. Hopefully we can at some point in time. Linda and I.
It'd be a great time.
Yeah. I bet more people would like to go with Linda. You think she would yell at me right there when I was sitting? Has Linda called at all?
I have not seen her call since. I hope she calls back. That would be fantastic. We should get her on every week as far as I'm concerned.
If memory serves, I believe she called Tuesday of last week. So it will be a week anniversary of her legendary call last Tuesday. So maybe tomorrow, Linda, if you're out there listening, call back and we got to find a game to attend. JMV, try the pork chop ribeye at Fox Garden. It's awesome. Fox Garden on Thursday. Me, Brent Halverson, Tony Renz. Fortville. Who's with us? You all better be with us. You guys all been complaining. You're not out. When are you going to be out again? You haven't been out in forever. So we're out twice. Fox Garden, Kitchen and Ale. That's on Thursday. Fortville, Ralston's Draft House on Friday. No excuses. 239-1070. It is anything goes, and what's anything goes without this person.
Hello, John. How are you this evening?
Hey. How you doing, Daddy Warbucks? You all right?
Doing all right. It's not Daddy Warbucks. It's Jimmy Johnson.
I thought maybe you had taken over somebody's role. Nope, you didn't?
Yeah, I know. we sold a lot of tickets over the show.
I know it. Do you give credit for me for selling those tickets? Do I get credit?
Maybe.
Maybe. It doesn't sound like you're giving me credit for that, buddy. So how'd it go?
Yeah.
Did it go well?
It went pretty well. We had a lot of people coming to the show, and
Great.
We had somebody coming to the show. It was Jared Boomer, WLBC. He came to the show and saw the performance.
Okay. That's awesome. And then Pat Sullivan showed up and I think had to leave at the intermission because his grandchildren got wild.
Yes. Yep, exactly. Yep. So
which is great.
Got 1,252 attendants.
Well done, buddy. I'm very happy for you.
And now I got to go to Tower Hope this weekend.
Yes.
So.
All right. Well, go by 8th and Crawford at the corner of 8th and Crawford and take a picture in front of the house that your good friend me lived in and had a great time in back in the early 1990s. 8th and Crawford.
Which one is that? Do you know?
It's the one that looks the worst, I'm sure.
Okay. Well,
it is the one that looks like it has been through it and is probably barely still standing. That would be it. So yeah.
Yep, and I'll try to get some. Hopefully, you have tickets for the Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute band that's coming to Conner Prairie.
Oh yeah. We got to send you to that, don't you? We got to do that.
Yep, and I'll probably get some tickets for you too, John.
All right, pal. Hey, congratulations on the show.
I appreciate it, John. Thanks.
That is our good friend Fulton. James, there is no doubt Fulton will take a picture in front of my lived-in home during college at 8th and Crawford and Terre Haute.
Oh, absolutely.
No
he
doubt.
will do what he can to get that done.
Remember years ago, Robbie Goggles and Matthew Graves, the assistant coach for Indiana State, went down there and took pictures in front of it too.
That's right. They did, didn't they?
Robbie Avila and Matthew Graves.
Did the house look like it was in bad condition
Oh,
then?
yeah. I don't know if it's ever not looked like it's in bad condition.
Does it look exactly like you remember it?
I don't even know if he's still alive, but our landlord's name was Emmett Munyon.
Emmett Munyon.
Emmett Munyon. We called him Emmett Munyon. Emmett Munyon was very excited that we got the hell out of there. I'm assuming he may not be with us any longer. But the legendary Emmett Munyon right there. All right, Fox Garden, Kitchen and Ale Thursday, Ralston's Draft House Friday. Brent Holverson, Tony Renz, and I Thursday, Fox Garden in Fortville, and Michelob Ultra brings us to you, Ralston's Draft House. That is coming up on Friday. Fever Mystics, bottom of the hour pregame show right here. 7 p is the tip time. Of course, you've got game number 3 of the NBA Finals later on tonight with the Spurs down 2-0, best of 7 in MSG versus the Knicks. If you missed it earlier today, Jay DeMeritt, who played in 2010. No, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
Pat
Wrong
Boylan.
one. Pat Boylan has the call later on tonight. Channel 13 WTHR. Fever and Mystics. He joined us a little bit earlier. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. I believe he's got the call coming up later on tonight. The Fever and the Mystics in Washington. Pat Boylan joins us. I want to get to that in just a second, but you obviously do Pacers work as well, both radio and TV. I'm curious, this Knicks run, when you look at it in terms of the postseason, in comparison to others, how historically dominant has this been? Because there have been few, I would suggest, like it.
Yeah, John, good to be with you. I would agree. There have been very few quite like it, and it's amazing that it's coming, in my opinion, from this Knicks team, because I've always viewed them as very high floor, but maybe not the ceiling for a championship caliber team, or certainly one that's going to rattle off 13 straight games. So, yeah, I mean, the just consistency, I think, is what stands out to me. There have been very few stretches where they haven't been at their best. And the only time that I can think of that they weren't at their best was that game 1 against Cleveland for a lot of the night. But they have that tremendous comeback victory. So, look, I mean, it's pretty much the same group that the Pacers beat the last 2 years, which is what makes this so hard to comprehend. But I think all you can do is tip your cap, because I think a lot of people, and admittedly, I fell into this group, said, okay, well, listen, each team in front of them went 7 games. The worst team won their series. But once you get to the finals, San Antonio is a completely different opponent than they have faced so far. Well, they're not through. They've still got to win 2 more times. But so far, it's been different caliber of opponent, but same result. It's been impressive to watch, albeit maybe a little frustrating if you're a Pacers fan.
I think about it in these terms. Mike Brown maybe won't go down in history as the greatest coach of all time, but in comparing to what Tom Thibodeau did, and Tom Thibodeau was a high-level coach too, Mike Brown has had support for a group that Tom Thibodeau would historically run into the ground by the postseason. And I think that's a lot of it. The usage of the bench, what you're getting out of the bench, and not wearing down to the nub the guys that you count on in the postseason before the postseason is underway. I think, tactically speaking, that's what Mike Brown has done at his best with this group.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because when you look at some of the numbers that those guys would play in previous years, and then you get to the playoffs, and then they would face a team like the Pacers, who's going to put Andrew Nembhard on you, and in Jalen Brunson's case, guard you 90 feet. I think the Pacers had a lot of success in wearing the opponent down wearing the Knicks down specifically. That almost felt like a buzzword the last couple playoffs, wear the opponent down, get later into the series and you'll have success. And I thought the Pacers had a lot of success with that against the Tom Thibodeau Knicks. You talk to anybody around here that's been around the Pacers for a long time, and they speak nothing but extremely highly about Mike Brown. But oftentimes you'll hear the compliments to Mike Brown come from an assistant coach perspective. That's what he was here. And he's had, some good runs as an NBA head coach, but nothing quite like this. So I think kudos to him for adapting himself. But the Knicks kind of feel like a modern version of the teams that we've seen the last couple of years. And clearly it's working here, and San Antonio has to figure something out very, very quickly, or this series could be over very, very quickly.
Game 3 later on tonight at 8:30. The Knicks up 2-0, best of 7 NBA Finals. Pat Boylan joins us from D.C. Fever and Mystics coming up in just a bit. We'll get into that as well. And the Pacers not being a part of that because the Eastern Conference was a cakewalk for them. There's just not really a team like the Pacers that the Knicks had to handle. And I will say this, their dominance knows no bounds in this postseason because their 2 losses to the Hawks were both by 1 point. So if they were to, for example, sweep the Spurs, I don't know if you could ever find a more dominant postseason run than we have witnessed with this Knicks team.
It's a really good point because you look at both of those losses they had in the Atlanta series, and to a degree, both were kind of collapses. The first one was certainly a huge collapse. The second one, they actually got way down but came back and had a lead in the waning moments and then lost that Game 3 against Atlanta in what felt like 2 months ago, and they haven't lost since. It's amazing you're talking about that with this group because typically when you think of the all-time dominant teams, you're talking about, the Warriors that had Kevin Durant on them, and you're talking about Michael Jordan's Bulls, and you're talking about true legendary groups of players. I mean, Jalen Brunson's a fantastic player, and his stock continues to rise, a lot like Tyrese Halliburton's has the last couple of days or the last couple of years. But, you aren't hearing people talk about Jalen Brunson as a top 5 player, let alone this be the type of team that could be considered in the same breath as the 2017 Golden State Warriors, the 90s Bulls, what have you. But the results speak for themselves. The Game 3 that's coming up here tonight is unquestionably massive. If you get it, the series is likely over and maybe very quickly. If the Spurs get it, finally this run comes to an end and the Knicks still have the upper hand in the inside track. But for the first time, they're going to face a little bit of adversity here. So tonight's game is fascinating for numerous different reasons. And if you're the Knicks, you're rolling so much and now you're coming back home. But there's a lot of, ancillary aspects about tonight that feel different too. I'm sure they kind of wish it was a little more status quo, but they have crossed every hurdle that's been placed in front of them so far. And the Spurs have got to get it figured out and very, very quickly here, or the streak's going to continue with the Knicks championship.
That is Pat Boylan, the voice of the Fever, with the Fever and the Mystics coming up later on tonight at 6:30. Coverage here at 6:30 here, by the way, on the Fan. So the big question is: so did Breanna Stewart? Did she travel to D.C. to shoot more free throws against the Fever, or what's happening?
I sure hope not. Yeah, that was frustrating, the free throw differential, because if you look at just about every statistical category the Fever won it, except the free throw differential was massive, in advantage of New York, and tough to overcome that. Frustrating when you hold, the Liberty under 40% from the field and they hit just 2 threes. That's a game you feel like you should win, and certainly up by 12 late in the third quarter, a game you feel like you should win. So the free throw differential was frustrating. Some of that is just your defensive composure. Of course, some of it, also could be a home whistle. It's tough to know exactly, where that line can be drawn. But the Fever, will look at it, and Stephanie White has already talked about this, is we had a 12-point lead late in the third quarter. Those are games that we have to win. So, to me, the Fever feel close. It's still very early in the season. But you are hitting game number 11 here tonight, which is the quarter pole of the year. The WNBA plays 44 games. Tonight's game 11. So you're already at, if we have NBA fans listening that are newer to the WNBA, this kind of feels like game 20 or 21 for the NBA season. So, yes, still early, but you're getting into mid-June here very, very soon. The All-Star breaks at the end of June and into early July. So Tonight in Washington, talking to you from D.C. right now, we'll have the call on WTHR. A good opportunity to potentially get a win, and then you're coming home for a few, and there's an opportunity there to string some together. But, consistency, I think, has been the one thing the Fever have been looking for more than anything else so far this year, and a chance to build some of that here tonight with a home-heavy stretch coming up.
So, Pat, this is the Wizards Arena and not College Park, the home of Maryland. Is that true? Normally, don't the Mystics play where Maryland plays?
They play at Care First Arena, which is unfortunately, that's where we're playing tonight. My understanding is Capital One Arena is undergoing a second round of renovations here this year. So we are not there.
Is this where Maryland plays? Where the hell are you then?
You know what? I don't know that exactly. Sir, is this where Maryland plays? No, this is not where Maryland plays. I've got a security guard over here who has answered that one for me.
Well, what the hell do they do with it? They just open it up for special occasions or what? Who plays in there?
They must, other events. It's been the home of the Mystics for more than a few years now. It's a 4,000 or 5,000 seat arena just outside of D.C. It's unfortunately the reason why I had to delay our call a little bit, because it took us 55 minutes to get from our D.C. hotel here to the D.C. arena. Makes me grateful for Indy traffic or lack of it. So appreciate you hitting pause and hold with us here.
It is Pat Boylan with us. I also mentioned this and was joking around about the free throw situation. And while that was bad on Saturday night, so was the lack of execution. That was bad, and that has haunted this team, and really, to me, on both ends of the floor at times has been the reason why we see them right now at 5-5 and a disappointing start.
Yeah, I think consistency and putting both ends of the floor together are something this team is very much still searching for. An amazing stat to me, last 7 games, the Fever ranks second in the WNBA defensively, but they haven't been able to take advantage of that because after the just incredible offensive start, their offense has taken a step back. So it's felt like you haven't been able to put those two together at least consistently. You've, of course, had some great games. The win against Atlanta a few nights ago was really good, and I think what makes the game against New York even more frustrating is you get a really nice win against a really good Atlanta team. You're in New York, and you're up by 12 against a really good Liberty team in the third quarter. You finished that one, and you got 2 straight wins. You're in D.C. tonight. You got a bunch of home games coming up. It's not to say that they can't still build momentum here going forward. They certainly can. But that was a real opportunity. The Fever were up 12 late in the third, and then they were outscored 38-18 the rest of the way. Frankly, just an extremely rare game where Boston, Clark, and Mitchell, at least to a degree, all struggled for portions of it. But certainly you feel like when you've got the offensive weapons that you do, if you have a 12-point lead late in the third, you're winning, I would say 95% of the time. Unfortunately, Saturday was in the 5%, and I think that search for consistency continues tonight here in D.C.
So Pat Boylan, who is with us, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, Channel 13 WTHR, correct?
You've got it. Yes, sir.
Wow. So you're going to get some people who are going to call in and go, who's this Boylan guy and where's my Wheel of Fortune in jeopardy? That's going to happen for you tonight.
I apologize if we do cut into that. I'm not exactly sure how that works here tonight, but we're grateful to be on WTHR. It's great to have pregame coverage, 30-minute pregame coverage on the Fan and our radio network as well. So hopefully will be a good night, whether you're watching or listening along here this evening.
You may not have an answer to this, and quickly before I let you go, the reason why I bring it up is I saw where the Heat has secured a local television rep to show their games this year. Are the Pacers still in that category in limbo? Have you heard anything regarding that? And I know there's still a lot of time before the season starts, but out of curiosity in that report from South Florida, I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, I did see that today as well. It was in a group chat of ours that includes Kristen Airy. He is the expert for all of us. He kind of gives us that info. So he's probably the one to talk to, although my understanding is nothing has been finalized. But there's certainly looking at multiple options and hopefully one that'll come sooner rather than later. And I think there's a fair amount of optimism that it'll be a step forward in terms of viewership for the fan base and all of that. But no, I haven't heard much. Perhaps Chris knows more. Perhaps there is news coming in the distant future. But as of right now, I have my phone. look at our group chat, and I wait for the Daenerys text to come in, and that's how I find out about everything.
Aaliyah Boston was questionable. Is she playing tonight?
You know what? I haven't got the official ruling, but she went through the shoot-around. She looked pretty good. She seemed optimistic, so I'm leaning in that direction, but obviously you never know. It's possible that determination has come since we've been talking. I'm in a loading dock right now, so I'm not quite next to 71.
And Caitlin Clark, by the way, is probable. I know you got to get working. So, Pat, we appreciate that, man. We'll do it again soon. Thanks, pal.
Sounds good. Appreciate you, John.
Pat Boylan, the voice of the Fever, Channel 13 WTHR for that later on tonight. 6:30, Tidrow takes over here at the pregame show. And then